Good morning. Thank you all for joining. We'll give just a moment to clear the waiting room and make sure that folks have connected to audio. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are speaking before the board. Give just another moment as folks are still entering from the waiting room. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Wednesday, October 30th, 2024. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Thank you, Danny. Excuse me. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the applicant. You'll make a brief presentation regarding your proposal, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. Following questions, there will be an opportunity for testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives. For members of the general public wishing to testify, please limit your testimony to 2 minutes, and please state your name, address, and affiliation, if any. If you are wishing to provide testimony, please do use the raise hand function, and I will call on you in the order that I see your raised hand appear. We'll begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, Berklee College of Music, Inc., doing business as Mellow, located at 699 Boylston Street. Has applied for a common victualler license to be exercised on the above 600 square foot, one-room street level takeout smoothie counter with no seating, basement storage, no bathroom, and grab-and-go products only. Manager Sean Sturgis, hours of operation 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
Hey, Danny, this is Caitlin Passifero, Chief of Staff at Berklee College of Music. And Sean, you want to introduce yourself?
Sean Sturgis. I'm the Director of Dining Services at Berklee College of Music.
Great. Thank you both. If you could please just briefly present the proposed concepts to the board.
Sure. So back earlier this year, Berklee signed a 15-year lease at 699 Boylston Street for approximately 10,000 square feet of space, which contained approximately 8,300 square feet on the lower level and approximately 1,000 square feet on the ground floor level of 699. This past September, we opened the ground floor as a dance studio, went through the zoning process to do that, and with the intention of opening the first floor 1,000 square feet space as a cafe open to the public, grab and go smoothies, which is consistent with the previous use, which was the TB12 gym. So very similar concept. So I will turn it over to Sean just to talk through a little bit about the actual concept.
Yep. Working within a limited space and no kitchen facilities or cooking facilities, we tried to come up with a concept to support our students, first off, who will be using the dance studios below as classrooms and practice space, where we came up with the smoothie and acai concept that did not need much cooking equipment or storage capacity. Because of its unique location on Boylston Street and also having all the offices up above, we're going to try to offset some of those costs with grab-and-go products, pre-made salads, sandwiches, and quick grab and go snacks for students and the public. But mostly we'll trying to market and sell the acai bowls and smoothies.
Great, thank you for that explanation. And the hours will be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
Correct, 7 days a week.
7 days. Thank you both very much. I have no questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
No questions for me. Thank you.
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would
you.
like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. As you heard from the applicant previously, they had gone through a zoning board of appeals process, which involved an abutters meeting from ONS, as well as them being in contact with the local civic association. Our office is unaware of any concerns at this time, and they were approved by the zoning board. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Anthony. I work for District 8 Councilor Sharon Durkin, and she just wanted me to go on record in support of the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? The board will take this under advisement. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, I do see a hand raised from Councilor Santana's office. Is that on item number 1? Oh, sorry, you're currently on mute.
Sorry about that. I'm having technical difficulties this morning.
No worries.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Indus Johnson, and I am here on behalf of Councilor Santana. Good morning, Madam of the Chair, members of the board. I would like to go on record as opposition to this proposal for the councilor.
This is on item number 1, Berkeley College of Music.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I just chimed in. I thought we were there. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. Thank you very much.
Of
Are
course.
there any other individuals who would like to provide testimony on item number 1? Great, then the board will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 2, Blank Street Coffee, 120 Causeway Street, Boston, LLC, located at 120 Causeway Street, has applied for a common victular license to be exercised on the above 828 square foot first floor cafe, combined with tenant build out in an existing shell space featuring 17 customer seats and 2 employee seats. Manager Derek Craig, hours of operation 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
I am Anders Cairns here from Blank Street. Danny, how you doing? Good morning, everyone. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you for being with us, Mr. Cairns. If you could please just briefly present the proposed concepts to the board.
Absolutely. So this is going to be our 6th location in Boston. We are a small format coffee shop, all kind of heat to serve food, no food preparation in place in any of our spaces right now. So we're partnering with A&J King, who's based out in Salem, for our pastry offering. We have a couple of proprietary items that are shipped from a commissary also, but very, very simple operation. So nothing prepared on site. Pairing with local vendors. We've kind of been through the community process already. Zoning board is also done. So this is our hopefully last item to check off the list here, and we can open to a new kind of community in Boston, which we're very excited about.
Excuse me, thank you. And this is gonna be 7 days a week?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, I have no questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
No questions for me. Thank you.
None for me. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would defer to the judgment of this board. ONS did not require an abutters meeting, but we did direct the applicant to reach out to the West End Civic Association, which is the active civic group for this area. We're unaware of any concerns at this time. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Anthony again for Councilor Sharon Durkin. She just wanted to go on record in support of this proposal today.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Seeing none, the board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
And you. Calling item number 3, Papa ERDR Dorchester LLC, doing business as Papa John's, located at 1501 Dorchester Ave in Dorchester. Has applied for a common victular license to be exercised at a previously licensed location, 1,240 square foot bathroom in the front, with a couple of tables and chairs, open kitchen in the middle of the space with dishwashing station and walk-in fridge in the back with 2 exits. Manager Joe Johnson, hours of operation 10 a.m. to 3 a.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the applicant before you this morning. I would like to make one housekeeping change. We did request, and I thought it was accepted, that the manager of record be replaced by Mr. Charles Tabb, who's with us this morning. I think we were confirmed for that through your office yesterday. Is that not the case?
Yeah, we just wanted you to say it on the record, so we didn't have enough time
okay.
at such
Yeah,
last minute.
The
Thank
agenda
you.
had already been posted for
Yeah.
open meeting law
We
purposes.
couldn't
so-
change it because we have
Thank you.
requirements for
Mr.
posting.
Johnson is here as well, but Mr. Tabb is our proposed manager of record. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
And again, with regard to the hours, as a result of a lot of feedback from the community and from District City Councilor Fitzgerald and the mayor's office, we have reduced the hours of operation to be, presently we're requesting midnight Sunday through Thursday and 1 a.m. Friday and Saturday only. That's a reduction from the overall request of 3 a.m. closing hour. So we find that those hours are more in keeping with other similar businesses in the neighborhood, and we're happy to cooperate with the District City Councilor and the mayor's office to come to that conclusion, if you will, today for this hearing. So I do want to make sure that that is on the record when you make your deliberations later today. We are here as a applicant, and with us as well this morning in regard, addition to Mr. Tabb, who's the proposed manager of record, the ownership team, Joseph and Rolanda Johnson, Sam Charles, and with us as well is Michael Sheehan, who represents the property owner. This site, as the application indicates, is a previously licensed CV location, has been for many years. The landlord would like to be heard in regard to the history of the site and the history of what has been going on in the neighborhood with regard to this application. Having said that, we have spent a great deal of time talking and discussing with people in and around the site, making clear that people understand that these ladies and gentlemen are going to hire locally. Mr. Tabb is a Dorchester resident. This is a minority owned business. They are very anxious to be in the neighborhood and hire in the neighborhood. You will probably hear later, there was a Papa John's restaurant perhaps 2 blocks away, which closed a couple of years ago. It's not the same management team. They had nothing to do with that site, but there was an existing Papa John's in this neighborhood as recently as 2 years ago. They are proposing a CV application for this site, which again, to remind you, has been a CV location for many years. We have met with everyone in the community. We had 2 ONS abutters meetings. We met with the Fields Corner Civic Association. We have provided to the board, as of this morning, almost 500 signatures and letters in support of this application from people in and around the local community. We have met with District City Councilor Fitzgerald. We have met with the mayor's office. We've met with anyone who would be willing to meet with us to answer any questions they might have and to talk about what we hope to do at this site. They're very anxious to be a part of this community, to hire people from the community, to have local people working here. They have a long-standing tradition of support for Boys and Girls Clubs wherever they have located and intend to do the same here at this site. We hope that you will agree that with the reduction in hours proposed and with the use that's totally similar to every other use that's taken place in this site for many, many years, that the board will see it fit to support this application this morning. I would like to just ask Mr. Johnson, who is one of the owners, to make a statement here this morning. Joe, can you unmute yourself? Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning to the board here. So my name is Joe Johnson. I'm here with my wife, Rolanda Johnson, and we're both representing the Papa John's franchise seeking to open in Dorchester, or reopen in Dorchester, as Dennis alluded. There was once a Papa John's there, just a few blocks away, and closed for whatever reason in 2018, unrelated to our organization. And I want to clarify, we're not Papa John's corporate. We're a small business, independently owned and operated franchise group. As mentioned, we're a minority owned franchise group. We started in 2016 and have been operating in the state of Massachusetts since 2018. We've won numerous Operation Excellence Awards and awards related to our community involvement, and to date have given over $150,000 in grants to local community organizations. We also, since our inception, have prided ourselves in taking care of our people, going above and beyond to offer benefits, competitive wages, and more to our team. As mentioned, we believe in being a positive impact in the communities we serve, not only with, contributions financially, but with our time, mentorship. We've created a number of leadership academies and franchisee 4-day opportunities to create awareness around franchising. And we've also, since 2021, taken it upon ourselves to create a program and platform to create a pathway to franchise ownership for people from underserved communities. It's called Our Slice. Charles Tabb, who's our operating partner and co-owner of this location from Dorchester, is a program participant. We've been really excited about, coming to this community. We've invested over $500,000 to build out this site. And kind of learn about position at the very end is a little disheartening. But we hope the board take everything Mr. Quilty said into consideration, in addition to my statement and testimony here, and approve our license.
And Madam Chair, if I may, somewhat unusual, but we're very well aware of opposition to this petition, if you will, being orchestrated by a competitive business owner immediately in the neighborhood. And as a result of understanding what has gone on, I would like you to hear from Mr. Sheehan, who represents the property owner. He has, I think, some very important information to provide to the board in this regard. Michael?
Yeah, Mike Sheehan. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but representative of 1501 Dorchester Avenue LLC, which is owned by Greg and Brendan Feeney. The Feeneys have been in Fields Corner since 1988. They own property on Dorchester Avenue, Adams Street, Parkman Street, Gibson Street, Clayton Street, Park Street. They rented, this was the old Emerald Isle, and when they had purchased, Captain Dunford at the time had approached them to do something different, and they did. They developed a strip mall with a T-Mobile, a local insurance company, Valentine Insurance, a hairdresser, and the Boston Burger site. In 2017, Brian Chavez purchased the business, and we did an assignment of the lease with him, and he was responsible for the lease. COVID hit. We did work with all of our tenants. We did not evict anyone, and we gave some rent relief. After COVID had ended, Brian did really not open up other than to advertise for a new marijuana business he was going on. We weren't collecting rent. It was over $25,000. We had a meeting with him. We tried to do a deal, a forbearance agreement. It did not work out. Brian kind of went silent on us. And a meeting with Brendan and Greg Feeney, explained the situation. We owed over $20,000 in back rent and didn't think that he was going to reopen. And knowing Brian from the pizza joint and Feeney Brothers employees, many of them live in Dorchester, use that business. Brendan Feeney had asked me, he said, Mike, can we re-rent the space? I said, yeah, we can. Asked about how long is he obligated to it, another couple of years. And Brendan said, Mike, work it out. Let's be neighborly. And Brendan was very neighborly. I said, well, what about back rent, Brendan? He said, look, if we can re-rent the space, let's take the
I'm
hit.
sorry, I'm just confused. What space are you talking about?
That Boston Burger space that's before you to be the Papa John space.
And you're saying Brian Chavez rented it beforehand?
Yes.
Yes, he did. He rented it before us. Yes, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear on that.
And you're the manager and the Feeney's are the.
I'm the director of real estate for all the Feeney-owned properties.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize if I wasn't clear on that.
So Mr. Chavez was their tenant in this very same space, operating a CV license in exactly the same space that they want to reopen as a CV license today.
Yeah. So Brendan said, let's just be neighborly. Hey, everyone's had it tough, so let's get a release. At the time, there was still over a couple of years obligation on the lease, right over $100,000. Brian will speak to say he doesn't owe us any money. He's correct, because Brendan Feeney, being neighborly, released him from all future rents, even though there was a personal guarantee there, and also released them and did not seek any back rent. And we're simply asking here to be neighborly back to a good neighbor, because the Feeneys are good neighbors, been good neighbors in Dorchester for almost 4 decades now. And I've worked in this business over 30 years, and I've worked for some landlords that would have been at his throat, not at his knees, giving him forgiveness. So this company, we vetted them. They are paying rent. We've taken a security deposit. We do extensive vetting, and they met all our requirements, and it was a CV. And this is just about competition. And quite frankly, some of the conversations that I've had, especially with the Fields Corner Association, it borders on violations of the Sherman Antitrust Act. But with that being said, we would hope that you would see through everything here and approve this, because these are good people who are going to run. And if you see what they've done to that space, it's incredible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Attorney Quilty, anything further before we move to questions from the
No, I
board?
would like to just reserve rights to respond to whatever you're about next to hear. Thank you very much.
Is the manager record with us?
I'm sorry, Mr. Tam.
Hi. Yes, hi, I'm here.
Oh, there he
How's
is.
it going?
Okay, Charles, just introduce yourself, please.
Hey, I'm Charles Tabb. I'm going to be the daily operating manager over there at this location. I lived in Dorchester, born in Dorchester, still live in Dorchester. My family was here over 60 years. I graduated from the Burke High School in Grove Hall, and I've been working with these guys for over 5 to 6 years, and they're giving me the opportunity to bring something to my neighborhood. And when they did that, I said, okay, I'm going to go find the location. I found the location off 1501 Dorchester Ave, and I said, this is perfect. This is where we touch the community, and we will be hiring people in the community. I'm just disappointed that I have a shot to open up something in my community, and I'm getting challenged by competition. The same competition that tried to run a restaurant in the same location. We're just talking about a CV right now, and what'd you say?
Charles, you're breaking up.
Hello, you can hear me?
You're breaking up. Can you
Yeah,
hear me now?
I wanted Charles just to talk a little bit about his qualifications as to be manager. Like what his experiences in the industry.
Is that a little better? Can you hear me a little better?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. 'Cause I can't
Oh,
really
you're
hear
breaking
you
up
guys,
again.
but
Maybe
all
now.
turn your camera off.
Yeah. All right. So basically, my name's Charles Tabb. I grew up in the neighborhood. I was born in the neighborhood. My family been there over 60 years. I've been working with this company, these people for over 5 years, roughly around 6 years. They're giving me the opportunity to own something and live up to my dream in my neighborhood. And when they gave me this opportunity, I went and found the location 1501 Dorchester Ave. We know that there was a restaurant there before, and this is a great location to touch the community. I feel like this is a community where I'm from, and I want to hire local people and people that have the same dreams as me. Or and even if they don't have the same dreams, I just want to help the community. Um, these are good people. Joe and Rolanda and the team that we have, we're really out just to help the community. It's really frustrating, and I really like lost for words because it's like I'm from the city, and I worked so hard to get to where I'm at and to get challenged by competition from the same people that tried to have run a restaurant in the same location is kind of heartbreaking to me. Um, I would just love for a chance. And I'm just asking for the board just to give me a chance, give me a shot to show you guys what we can bring to the community.
Thank you, Mr. Tapp.
Thank you. Chairman Joyce, any further questions of the applicant?
I do have a few questions. What is your response to the fact that there are 4 other existing pizza places within the same general area?
Chairwoman, I can take that question. So again, Papa John's exists in that community just in 2018.
Where was it in 2018? I'm not.
It was at 1224 Dorchester Avenue. The proposed location is 1501 Dorchester Avenue. So same street, just down the street from us.
Where, that's my neighborhood, so where exactly is 1200?
What's there now, Joe?
Escapes me right now.
It's Raimondo Bakery, right next to Burger King.
That's where it was?
Right.
Yeah, where Raimondo Bakery is.
Okay.
Very successful now.
And that location was there for many years, right? Changed ownership at some point before 2018, and the business didn't make it. This doesn't represent a net new increase in pizza restaurants in that community from 2018. So we existed before for many years with all the neighboring competition. So for us, it shouldn't change anything, right? We're coming back to a community, not establishing something new that didn't exist there before.
How long were they there? The fact I don't remember it makes me think of.
I'm not
Very
familiar.
long.
Yeah. But it was 5 or so years. I can confirm the exact amount, but it was there for years prior.
And so through your research and your team looking for places, you felt this was the ideal spot for another pizza spot in Dorchester?
That's correct. We in fact, when the location closed, we were seeking out the owner of that building to reopen in that location previously. So we absolutely believe Dorchester Avenue was the best place for visibility, access to the community.
Okay. With your business plan, I mean, the description says there'll be a couple of tables and chairs. What percentage of your business will be dine-in versus takeout?
Yeah, I would say probably, 75, 70, 30% dine-in versus takeout.
70 dine-in?
70 takeout, 30% dine-in, possibly, but the community has the ability to self-select into which way they choose to dine with us. We've got other locations that have seating, which again have a higher, proponent of dine-in than it does takeout. So it's really about community need and what their preference is, and we just want to provide that optionality.
But this, okay, I get that, but the fact that there's only a couple of tables, the size of the restaurant, the fact that the plan is for 70% takeout, I don't think there's a huge option for dine-in in the neighborhood here. So that makes me think that you'll be relying heavily on third-party apps and delivery. So could you talk me through what your plan is for third-party delivery and parking in this area?
Yeah, I think, because it's zoned for restaurant, I think any restaurant, right, similar to Boss Burger, they were, high third party, high takeout too. I think, no doubt, some of the consumer preferences changed since 2020 with the prevalence of third party. More than willing to work with the community with whatever parking plans needed. But the fact is, this particular location has been a CV license, has been a restaurant for many, many years. I don't think our parking challenge would be anything different than any restaurant that would occupy that space.
Okay, I do as a neighbor there, so I just want to talk through what your plan is. I mean, people double park, run in, pick up their Uber Eats, their DoorDash. Have you guys thought that through as a management group, what you're gonna do? There's not a lot of parking there.
Yeah, so we have our own drivers. There's rear access parking in the back. We've talked with the landlord about having our drivers there to open up more spots in the front for, come and go traffic, so that we're not occupying that space as well.
So is that the plan? Because I'd like to see that in writing, if that is the landlord's agreement that they can use parking in the back.
We'll
We
provide.
kind of
that.
we've been, it's not just this application.
Yep.
It's happening in every neighborhood of the city with the third-party delivery or your own delivery operators, especially with a business plan, 70% takeout. I'd like to see that in writing, where the delivery
We'll
drivers
provide that,
are.
yeah. We'll provide a letter from the landlord.
Okay. And I'd like to just see where they're gonna park and stuff like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Right, if I could just add that the site was the same, it was a takeout burger place.
No, I know, but there's a difference between a national chain that, the marketing and advertising that goes into that versus Boss Burger.
I suppose. I mean, the facility
Yeah.
is the same for them as it would be for these folks, the same size, the same.
Sure, I would just argue that perhaps the delivery might be more for a national chain pizza place. These are questions I ask everyone.
I understand.
And as you said, times have changed. So maybe when Boss Burger was there wasn't such a reliance on third-party delivery or takeout. But it's a question that the board is asking, that the transportation department is asking us
Yeah.
to get on the record. So that's why I'm doing my job.
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
And so just to confirm, Saturday and Sunday, the closing hour will be 1 AM. And
Nope.
what time the other days of the week?
Friday, the 1 AM, excuse me, 1 AM, Friday, Saturday only. Every other day of the week, midnight.
Okay. Okay, I think those are all the questions I have right now. I might have some more after the public testimony, but Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
At this time, I just want to confirm and kind of go further where you were going, Madam Chair. The access would be in the back of the building, is that what you said?
Joe?
Correct. Yeah.
Mike?
There's a real rear parking space in the back.
Yeah, the rear park space off of Faulkner Street.
Correct.
And how would that work? I'm just looking at satellite, so you can tell me what you're seeing there. But will some of that be designated for your drivers to come in and out?
That is the plan.
Okay. All right, at this time, I have nothing else. I expect I might have something to talk about after comments.
Yeah.
But I do want to kind of say in the way of warning that I think Attorney Quilty is rightfully kind of focused on how competition cannot be a factor for us. So I just want anyone who has comments, try to keep that in mind for effectiveness here, for all our times here, that you really have to give us something distinguished from competition if you have objections. So that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
No question of mine. I think that Commissioner, or Chair Joyce, you asked a question of the manager of record about his experience, and I think there's some technical difficulties, and I'm not sure he heard that question.
Charles, I think he did suggest he's worked with this group for 5 years, but is Charles still with us?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Yeah, I worked in this company. I started from just a regular pizza maker, and I've grown my way all the way up to operating partner. So the experience is there. I've served save. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board before we move to testimony? Okay. Are there any elected officials or their representatives who wish to testify before we move to general members of the public?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on the community process. ONS hosted one abutters meeting on August 13th. Initially, there was a meeting scheduled for July, but that was pulled down. The meeting was well attended. There was a variety of opinions expressed. Some of the attendees were supportive of Papa John's moving into this location. There were also some abutters that were on that expressed some concerns regarding the potential for double parking, as well as noise generated from delivery drivers late in the evening after bedtime. After that, the applicant went on to meet with the Fields Corner Civic Association, which ultimately voted to oppose the proposal. We also received letters in opposition from the local Main Streets Association, as well as an abutter. These comments express concerns regarding the hours of operation and just the desire to preserve different diverse types of businesses, as well as a preference for local and small businesses. As stated, additional letters and comments of opposition, I believe, have been forwarded to this board directly, so we don't have access to those. But those are the comments that we have received. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the board, Liam Remus from Councilor Fitzgerald's office. Our office would like to go on record in opposition to this proposal. It's nothing personal against the manager and management of this project. It's mainly because we've heard the community concerns and that there's already multiple options to get pizza within Fields Corner. We already have Antonio's across the street. Pizza 24 is also close around the block, and there's another chain, Domino's, located up the street as well. We feel that the opening of this pizza place will have also its negative effects on the local businesses across the street, which has been positive in giving back to the community already. Thank you.
Thank you. Indus, I see your hand is raised as well. You may please provide your testimony on behalf of Councilor Santana.
Good morning, and sorry again about the technical difficulties earlier.
No worries.
Madam and of the chair, members of the board, my name is Indus Johnson, and I'm from City Councilor at Large Henry Santana's team, and the councilor would like to go on record in opposition to this proposal.
Thank you very much. Are there any other, sorry, Councilor, Commissioner Kern?
Do we have a letter from Indus? Sorry.
I don't believe a letter has been, no. Indus, do you know if the councilor has submitted a letter? I don't believe we have one on file.
I can confirm with our chief of staff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If there is no letter, do you just have any kind of statement on the why?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives who would like to testify on this matter? We will move to members of the public who wish to testify. The first hand that I see raised is from Alan. Alan's iPhone. If you could please identify yourself and provide your testimony, you'll have 2 minutes to do so, and I will ask you to unmute and you can provide your testimony.
Good morning, members of the board. Appreciate the time. My name is Alan Isaacson. I am the owner of H. Levenbaum Realty and H. Levenbaum Insurance Agency. My insurance agency has been there since 1923. We've owned the property there since the mid 1990s. And as someone who's in the neighborhood every day, and not only as a business person leasing space, but also as an owner of space, I'd encourage the board that if they determine that Papa John's has followed all the rules, I would support them being granted this license. It is very difficult to start a business today. We have to be able to have reliable process and transparency, and they followed the rules. There's certainly people that are against, but there's certainly people that are in support. And if you consider the decision by Fields Corner Main Street and the Fields Corner Civic Association, it is notable that both of these groups had no problem with McDonald's requesting to be open until 3 a.m. McDonald's is right around the corner. The extension to 3 a.m. was going to be for delivery only. And if the primary concern is the impact of delivery services in the area, then one really has to question the rationale to oppose Papa John's because of a 3 a.m. request. But yet Domino's up the street is open to 3 a.m. McDonald's just requested to go to 3 a.m. and neither of these groups opposed either of those requests. So I'd ask that we look at the request for what it is, look at their experience, their commitment to the community, and if we determine they follow the rules, they should be granted an opportunity, as anyone else would, to start a business and support this community. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. The next hand that I see raised is from Kyle Schofield. You may please unmute yourself and provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Kyle Schofield. I'm a lifelong Boston resident and manager and teacher at a nonprofit at 1490 Dorchester Ave in Fields Corner. It's called Level Ground. It's like a stone's throw away from the proposed Papa John's. I want to start off by thanking the members of the board for allowing me to speak today in opposition of the proposed Papa John's. It's in my opinion that Papa John's doesn't add value to the community. As mentioned before, it's nothing personal. It's just that we have several fast food options within a square mile and more beyond that. At Level Ground, one of our professional development programs for the local youth, and one of our missions is to educate kids about healthy foods and cooking healthy, sustainable meals. We have members of our community, and I'm sure the Fields Corner community as well, that has health conditions that are directly related to or exacerbated by unhealthy food options. And having worked at Level Ground and in Fields Corner for 2 years, I've watched day in and day out the result of an area that's already saturated with fast food options and the difficulties this brings to a community. Opening another fast food option is not, in my opinion, is not in the better interest for our community, which is why I asked the board to deny the request of Papa John's to open at this location, sort of in the name of health and well-being for the community, something that our program is trying to, or working very hard to try to protect and preserve. Thank you guys for your time and consideration. I'm trying to be brief. Hope I'm under 2 minutes.
You are under 2 minutes. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank
the
you,
next
guys.
hand that I see raised is from Brian Chavez. Mr. Chavez, you may please provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes starting now.
Thank you. Good morning, Brian Chavez here, owner of 1508 Dorchester Avenue and resident at 31 Mill Street. I will be brief to respect the board's time. I want to start off that I object to the mischaracterizations and outright lies that have been put on the record by Michael Sheehan. This is not the forum for what would be a private business dispute. I am here in strong opposition, not because of the potential competition of myself or other local business owners, but for the following reasons. There is already a saturation of existing pizza establishments in the immediate vicinity, and there is no public need for another pizza establishment. Secondly, there's a lack of healthy food options in our neighborhood. Approving another pizza establishment would negatively impact the public health and welfare of our community by exacerbating the lack of healthy options already. Papa John's has a well-established menu, and there's no emphasis on healthy options. Approving the CV license to Papa John's would also negatively impact the quality of life issues impacted in the neighborhood, including traffic, congestion, parking, loitering, and trash. Papa John's has an exclusive partnership with DoorDash as their third-party delivery drivers, and that's gonna create an influx of reckless operators of doing deliveries. This is not about competition. This is not about protecting local businesses. This is not about local versus franchise. This is about the duty to protect the community. This is about the public need, public health and welfare, and quality of life of Fields Corner. I respectfully request the board deny this application for a pizza establishment, regardless of who owns and operates it, at a location where there's already a saturation of pizza establishments. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chavez, you are at your 2 minutes. If there's anything additional to wrap up quickly, otherwise you can submit anything in writing to the board.
All right, and now just quickly, I just want to talk about what Boss Burger was and wasn't. Boss Burger was not fast food. We had healthy options. We had food made to order. We had fruits and bananas. I just want to clarify that. That's not the applicant's fault. They're not from the community. Just want to educate on what it was. Thank you.
Thank you. The next hand that I see raised is from a Fields Corner resident. If you could please identify yourself and provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes to do so.
Fields Corner resident, Jason. There's a lot of mischaracterizations about this restaurant from its onset. I would encourage the board to look at what the space looks like right now, the square footage for the so-called seating for a couple of tables. They have a lobby where people will stand and order and pick up, and deliveries will come and grab their orders, and then they have a countertop that's about 6 feet wide where they'll imagine they'll be putting some stools. I encourage the board to look at the space in its current form and what's being represented. Um, this is not about competition. Papa John's on their best day cannot compete with Antonio's Hi-Fi as far as quality of pizza. Antonio's Hi-Fi, that recipe has been in the community since 1960. It's well known. Papa John's is a competition to Domino's. Papa John's is not a competition to a well-established pizza restaurant like Hi-Fi. There is no parking in the back for Papa John's. There's a commercial parking space on the street, and the parking lot that's behind the building belongs to the Blarney Stone. We have to take the comments as far as what's established in the area. McDonald's has been in the area for a long time. It's been established. The owners are very involved in the community. You cannot compare that to a proposed location of saturation. It's not the same. Talking about what's already there versus about what wants to come there. I would object to any classification that Papa John's has followed all the rules. They are clearly a takeout restaurant, but for their building permit to avoid the ZBA and the community process, said that they will have 30% dine-in or more than 25% dine-in versus 75% takeout. I don't know how they quantify that. It clearly says on their building permit, Papa John's is a takeout restaurant. So I would object to any characterization that they have been playing by the rules. They circumvented the community process and the ZBA process by claiming that they're not going to
Sir,
be
you
more
are
than
at your 2 minutes
75%.
now as well. There's a final statement
Yeah.
you would like to wrap up with. Otherwise, you can submit anything.
Yes, you have the owner of the establishment saying that they're going to be 70-30. For ISD purposes, they had to say they'd be 75-25. Based on what he said, I would encourage this board to send this application back to the ZBA for a community process.
Thank you for your testimony. The next hand I see raised is from Jackie West Divine. You may please provide your testimony. You will have 2 minutes starting now.
Thank you so much, members of the board, for hearing me speak. I am the executive director of Fields Corner Main Street, so I come today with a very specific lens. Our call is to support the small business district in Fields Corner because our belief is that through a healthy small business district lives a healthy community. We aim for our residents' needs to be met in the district, hopefully in walking distance. And so there's a few things that I take umbrage with when it comes to this Papa John's location. I want to start first with saying that we had reached out in April, long before they started their build out, to express concerns because 2 Papa John's have failed in the city of Boston within the last 10 years. And there is also many other pizza shops in the neighborhood, but there's great collegiality between them. They rely on each other. They're friends. They compare notes. They're all also highly responsive to the needs of the neighborhood and adjust their menus accordingly, things that Papa John's really can't account for in a franchise model. You know, I would also say that as Papa John's started getting to know the community, they were very friendly with people and represented themselves as local small business owners, which a franchise, you know, is always a little bit flexible of, but traditionally in that sort of model, a franchise owner would be local, would buy into a franchise and be the ground up. This is a group called Disrupt Foods that owns over 20 Papa John's and lives in New Jersey. There is still a lot of challenges with small businesses staffing. Prices have gone up. Third party, of course, delivery is a challenge. I will say that Brian Chavez, through Antonio's and Boss Burger, employs all of his delivery drivers. They're members of his staff. He's also been friendly with other small business owners who need delivery services. He comes in with those. But that's all to say that when we have a small business owner who's of the community, they can be responsive to the needs of the community, whether that's being able to attend to other small business owners, supports or whatever the community might mean. I could write you a poem about the small business owners in our community who.
You're over your 2 minutes as well. If there's a last point
Thank
you'd like
you.
to make, we do have your letter on file.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, but I just want to say that small business really does matter. And it makes an incredible impact that the city has invested in, and the federal government invests in and of course, in every political campaign, we talk about the heart of small business. So it really is a crucial matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next hand I see raised is from Ellen. Ellen, if you could please identify yourself and provide your testimony to the board, you will have 2 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you so much for allowing me to voice my opposition in regards to this proposal. My name is Ellen Schmarzo, and I'm a longtime Fields Corner resident, small business owner, and president and co-chair of Fields Corner Main Street. I am here to reiterate the statement that Fields Corner has already put out, that this is not anti-business. We would love if people followed the rules, as Alan Isaacson mentioned. However, the owners have not been transparent throughout this process. They misrepresented themselves as locals, but New Jersey does not count, given that most of our business owners live and breathe within a couple miles of Fields Corner. In addition to that, multiple Papa John's locations have already failed. And we, as a small business sort of support group here, we do not wish to see constant turnover in this neighborhood. It is a blight on our neighborhood, and we seek fresher options that the community is demanding. And we are in response to the feedback that we overwhelmingly hear from our constituents on a daily basis. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. The next hand I see raised is from Junior Pena. You may please unmute yourself and provide your testimony. You will have 2 minutes to do so.
Yes, hi, good morning, members of the board. Thank you for having me. As you had stated, my name is Junior Pena. I'm a longtime resident and small business owner in Fields Corner. I don't want to repeat what has already been said, but I would like to suggest, as one of the members here, one of the speakers here alluded earlier about respecting the process. So we're going to respect the process, then we should respect the voice of the community through Fields Corner Main Street and Fields Corner Civic Association. They have the best interests of the community at heart, and they're the eyes and ears of the residents and the voters. So most of the residents have already voiced their concerns, and they oppose this business proposal. I think should be taken into serious consideration, because these are the organizations that are there, to represent the communities they serve. And if that's been the main concern about this business proposal, then we should take that into consideration. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you very much. The last hand that I see raised is from Desiree Franjul. You may please unmute yourself and provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes to do so.
Hello, thank you for your time today. Wanted to go on the record to oppose this proposal. As everyone has already stated, Fields Corner is already saturated with fast food restaurants, and approving this will only pose a serious health concern. It will also threaten the survival of our cherished small businesses. We already have 4 pizza restaurants in the area, and frankly, I don't think there's a need for a 4th, especially from a corporation like Papa John's, whose negative culture has been widely documented, including a 2018 Forbes article that shed light on its troubling practices. There's already a ton of big corporations in the neighborhood: McDonald's, Target, Price Right, Dunkin' Donuts, and we all know what happens when these big corporations come into the neighborhood. They only destroy the small businesses that are already operating. They're not bringing smoothies or salads or health foods, which a lot of the pizza shops in the area already offer. So I firmly oppose this establishment in the Fields Corner area. Thank you.
Thank you. There is another hand raised from Haitians of Boston. If you could please Identify yourself for the board and provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sherry Kajus, founder of Haitians of Boston. We're Boston's #1 Haitian media platform. I fully support Rolanda and Sam. I've known them for quite some time. They've done great things around Boston and around Mass for people. I understand people's reasoning, but I do still think that Papa John's needs to be there. Yeah, I fully support them. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for thank you for your testimony. Are there any other individuals who have not yet provided testimony who wish to do so? Ms. Devine, you have already provided your testimony, and we have a letter on record as well. So we will move to see if there are any other individuals who have not yet provided testimony. Attorney Quilty, you had asked to respond to the testimony. I'll give you the opportunity to do so.
If I might, as I sit here listening to people talk about fresh food options and the like, it dawns on me that every neighborhood in the city has numerous food options for fast food, healthy food, all kinds of food. The situation here is that I know, and I think the board knows, that the opposition to this matter has been led by Mr. Chavez, who's a competitor across the street selling the same products that Papa John sells. He is the person who failed in this exact site. His fast food restaurant failed at this location. He is the one who left the property owner high and dry, didn't pay the rent, was let off the hook, and now in gratitude is opposing a similar restaurant across the street. It's not incumbent, in my opinion, it's not incumbent upon the property owner to be the food, fashion food, if you will, for the community. There's nothing wrong with this food product. It's the same as the food product across the street. And that's where this opposition is being ginned up from. You know that. We know that all the letters of opposition were originated at that shop. And that's where all the other opposition has come from. It's as plain as day. With regard to the process, there was some indication earlier that we somehow circumvented zoning. That is not true. The opponents tried to make a case of this at the Inspection Services Department, and their application was turned down. This site was approved by ISD for this use. There's no question about that. The only thing between this small business, these people being able to open and not, is the license that we hope your board will issue to them for food service. We've reduced the hours. We've answered as many complaints as we could answer. We ask only to be treated like every other small business food operator in the neighborhood. And I do think that we owe Mr. Sheehan a chance to respond, since he was basically called a liar by Mr. Chavez.
If I can respond as well after Mike, since we're gonna just go back and forth, because there's been a lot of slander that's been said. But yeah.
We'd like a moment to address some of the concerns raised from some of the community members that we haven't heard from, just to make sure we set the record straight on a couple mischaracterizations, since that's the word of the day.
Well, I think you've got the platform. Take it.
Chairman Joyce, are we allowing further?
Yeah, and I'll start off at just 2 minutes, but in particular, I wanted to know if it is true that you have an exclusive contract with DoorDash.
It's not true. Papa John's, as a national corporation, works with all other third-party organizations, not exclusive to DoorDash. We still retain and primarily support the use of our own drivers, obviously committing to keeping those jobs ourselves. There is some supplemental partnership that's available out there, but we prefer, obviously, to use our own delivery drivers. So just, Rolanda's here too. I just want an opportunity to kind of, reply to some of the comments. One about unhealthy fast food options. And, you know, I know our opponent is the one who operates 2 fast food restaurants, who sells fried food. We don't sell anything fried. Everything's baked through an oven. Our tagline and core premise or promise is better ingredients, better pizza. So the corporation, and that's what drew us to it. They are the better pizza option. Our sauce is from the vine into the can, right? There's not these additional additives in the product. So to characterize us as just another pizzeria that's selling unhealthy food is I think it's a little off base. Just to, also respond to the public need piece, I think, again, the brand formerly existed there. There's no net new opening from 2018 of pizza restaurants that existed. And they all coexisted together for many, many years until the brand was sold to someone else who unfortunately didn't work out, which I feel for that person because they invested, just like we did, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a business in a community that they wanted to operate in and thrive. When you think about what the public needs, the public needs more Black and brown owner representation too, right? I think, I always say people make businesses, businesses don't make people. I think just as important of what's being sold is who's selling it. I think in the state of Massachusetts, a fifth or more of the state is Black and Latino, but businesses with employees make up less than 4%. Are those business owners, right? Charles Tabb has an opportunity today, not because pizza chose him, but the people chose him, right? Because the people that look like him are in position of ownership, and see it as important to use their platform.
So that's my question. Is Mr. Tabb the manager or manager/owner?
He's a co-owner. He's an operating partner. In 2021, we started a platform called Our Slice to help create a pathway for franchise ownership for underrepresented communities.
And you live
Charles
where?
is a participant, correct.
And you live where?
I personally live in New Jersey. I do.
Okay.
I wish we could live in every community that we serve. We've got
How many do you own?
We own 23 Papa John's.
Okay. And this will be Mr. Tabb's first
Correct.
one that he has ownership interest in.
Correct.
Okay.
I think, again, the public needs conscious business owners who are not just using their platform to take from the community. We have a documented track record of supporting communities, not only with our dollars, but our time and our commitment to helping platform and uplift those people from those communities. So we're not just any other business owner that's looking to just sell pizza in the community. So I think that should be considered as well. And I'll, yield the rest of my time.
Sorry, I will be really brief. As Joe mentioned, one of the very first awards that we received was for the Building Community Award in 2018. And as he mentioned, we have an extensive track record for the work that we do in the community. But for us, and for me personally, it is about the people. It truly breaks my heart when people come by the store asking if we're hiring. We can't hire if we don't know when we'll be able to open. There's a lot that we do for the people. There's not many business owners that give their team members loans. I know what it's like to have financial hardship, to go from a 2-income household to 1-income household when my father had to have a heart transplant and was on disability. I know the importance of insurance. That's why for me, it is important to make sure all of our team members have the option to have insurance. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. For me, when I was sitting in the Cancer Institute getting ready to start chemo, I could see people that were denied services because they didn't have insurance. It's not we just don't talk about it. These are things that are personal to us. It's things that shape who we are. And it's an extensive track record for the work that we do. You can talk to any of our team members and they can tell you how we care for them and how, quite frankly, we've been able to change their lives. They've said, oh, we've worked here for a number of years. We never even had the option to have insurance. That's something that's personal to us because I know what it's like to fight for your life and have the insurance that allow you to be able to get the services that you need. And I've seen people denied healthcare because they weren't properly insured. So again, I just want to take this moment to say there's a lot of things that's being said that quite frankly aren't true. Again, Papa John's doesn't even have a fryer. Everything is baked. We talk about healthy options. I don't know if hamburgers and fried foods is more healthy than the baked pizza. So I just want to take that moment to say that there's a lot that's being said and I don't know if we're going to continue to go in circles, but again, from the moment that we've opened this store, we've not only been concerned about our team members, but also the communities that we serve.
And I think there's been no concern, and it's kind of disrespectful that we continue to dismiss Mr. Charles Tabb, who's a part of our team and an owner in our team. We keep saying, we're not local, you're not local, as if this man doesn't exist. I think this is exactly why we do what we do, to give these people that look like us a platform and a voice. I think it's very disrespectful that everybody keeps overlooking this man.
Thank you. Given you some extra time, and I think I got my questions answered about ownership and local ownership. I want to ask that we move on.
Yeah, and I want to extend to that just on behalf of me. It's very disrespectful.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Sorry, we're gonna move on. This is not gonna be, we don't have things like this where people go back and forth.
What
Attorney
percentage?
Quilty, I think you understand, we're gonna move on unless, I think I've gotten all my questions answered. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon. I think we have all of our questions answered.
If I may just, it may be splitting hairs to a certain degree, but as the board certainly knows, unlike the case of an alcohol license where public need is part of the statute, that is not the case in CV licensure. And
yes, the board does know that.
I
I just don't want this to turn into a public battle here, so we're gonna move
just
on.
harken back to Commissioner Curran's statement about competition. This is about competition. I think the board knows it, I know it, and that is an improper reason to vote this thing down.
I mean, no disrespect, but I'm just so curious, like what percentage does Charles Taub own of Papa John's? Did he make an investment? Because in June, when I originally spoke to the Joe and Chris, he was not in the picture. So I just feel that needs to be.
I've always been in the picture.
We're gonna move on.
I'm in these stores day to day working. I work in these stores. I work with the community.
Danny, can you
please?
Sorry, we do need to move on.
Thank you.
Ms. Devine, if you Google, right, this isn't something we just started.
No, thanks. We're gonna move on.
We are going to
We've given
move
you a
on.
platform and you've taken
Any
advantage
further
now.
testimony can be delivered through writing to licensingboard@boston.gov.
Thank you.
We'll take this matter under advisement. Thank you all. Calling item number 4, Hersha Concession Associates LLC, doing business as the Envoy Hotel located at 70 Sleeper Street, holder of and in holder all alcoholic beverages license, has petitioned to change the manager of the licensed business from Joseph Melilia to Joshua Glover. Attorney Andrew Upton. Attorney Upton.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Upton for the licensee. With me is Josh Glover, the proposed manager of record. Longtime manager Joe Melilia has retired. Josh has taken over. He has worked at this hotel for the past decade under the manager, and now he has the opportunity to be promoted to the manager. He is a Mass resident. He is a U.S. citizen. He has extensive experience, as I said, and he is very familiar with the rules and regulations of this board, and he's here to answer any questions if you have them.
I just don't see him. Oh, there he is. He's on my second page. Thank you, Attorney Upton. Thank you, Mr. Glover, for joining us. I have no questions. Commissioner Saxon or Commissioner Curran, do you?
I do not. Thank you.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Board will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 5, Huntington Theater Company, Inc., doing business as Calderwood Pavilion at the BCA, located at 527 Tremont Street. Holder of a common victular 7-day wines and malt beverages license has petitioned for a change of officers directors. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
Hi, I'm Sandra Katz. I'm the manager. And it is, none of the officers have changed. It is just a change to our nonprofit board.
Okay, and just to confirm, are there any operational changes?
Nope.
Thank you. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you have any changes?
No questions. Thank you.
None for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Calling item number 6, Trinity Ashmont Restaurants LLC, doing business as Tavolo, located at 1918 Dorchester Ave in Dorchester. Holder of a common victular 7-day all alcoholic beverages license, has petitioned to change the manager of the licensed business from Chris Douglas to Tara O'Riordan. And secondly, has petitioned for a change of LLC managers. Attorney Maggie Roberts. Attorney Roberts.
Thank you, Attorney Green. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Maggie Roberts with Prince Bell here on behalf of the licensee. And with me today is Tara O'Riordan, the proposed manager of record. As you just mentioned, we're requesting a slight change to the beneficial interest of the licensee and the manager of record to Tara. There are no costs associated with this transaction and application. The entity that is the sole member with 100% ownership interest will remain the same, and the only change involves removing an individual who is a managing member with 0% ownership interest in the licensee to Tara. And along with that, we are proposing her to be the new manager of record. She is a U.S. citizen, resident of Massachusetts, familiar with the rules and regulations of this board and ABCC, and has extensive experience in the restaurant industry. She's currently the manager at Tavolo, having been with them since 2018, and was previously a manager at Ashmont Grill for over 10 years. I'll pause there and happy to answer any questions you may have for us.
Thank you, Attorney Roberts. Thank you, Ms. O'Riordan, for joining us. I have no questions at this time. Commissioner Carr and Commissioner Saxon.
No questions for me, thank you.
None for me, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Thank you. The board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Calling item number 7, Galway House doing business as the Galway House located at 710A to 712 Center Street in Jamaica Plain. Holder of a common victualler 7-day all alcoholic beverages license has petitioned to change the manager of the licensed business from Edward Lanzillo to Albie Jura. Secondly, has petitioned for a change of officers directors. And thirdly, has petitioned for a change of stock interest. Lastly, has petitioned to pledge the license and inventory to Rockland Trust Company. Who is present on behalf of the applicant?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Tyler Hensler from Upton, Canal and Devlin. On behalf of Galway House Inc., with me is Albie Jura, who is purchasing 100% of the stock in Galway House Inc. And as such, we are applying for a transfer of stock, change of officers, change of manager, and a pledge of the license. As I said, Albie Jura will be buying 100% of the stock in Galway House Inc. from longtime owner Ed Lanzillo. Albie has worked at the Galway House for 12 years and is now going to be taking over the business, which is a staple on Center Street in Jamaica Plain with its iconic green sign and brick facade. Mr. Jura's intention is to keep everything the same as it is now and has been for years, from the great food menu, beer and cocktail selection, to the iconic interior decor, so the people of Jamaica Plain can expect the same great Galway House to continue to operate for years to come under Mr. Jura's ownership. For community outreach, we reached out to the Office of Neighborhood Services, who did not require an abutters meeting. Even so, we reached out to the neighborhood groups. We then attended a lunch meeting with the Jamaica Plain Business and Professional Association on October 16th, which was supportive, it was great. And we are set to meet with the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council next week as well, even though that will be after this hearing, just to continue to establish a good relationship with the new owner. We're also applying for change of officers, as Albie Jura will now be replacing Edward Lanzillo as the president, secretary, treasurer, and director of Galway House Inc. Albie will also be taking over as the manager of record. As such, I should add that he is a U.S. citizen, a Massachusetts resident. He's familiar with the rules and regulations related to the sale and service of alcohol of this board, the ABCC, and the laws of the Commonwealth. And he has experience in the industry, as again, he worked at the Galway House for 12 years and is excited to take the reins. There will also be a pledge of the license pursuant to a loan taken out for the purchase price of the stock here. With that, we're happy to take any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Attorney. Thank you, Mr. Jura, for joining us today. Just looking through my notes. I don't think I have any questions at this time. Commissioners, do you?
I do not, thank you.
None for me, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Oh, yep. I do see Michael Reiskin with a hand raised. Mr. Reiskin, if you could please provide your testimony.
My name is Michael Reiskind. I live at 425 South Huntington Avenue in Jamaica Plain. I'm a member of the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council and chair of its Public Service Committee. While the Galway House is a longstanding restaurant in the neighborhood, we would like the opportunity to meet with them on this 100% change of ownership of the Galway House. We have scheduled a meeting for less than a week next Tuesday on November 5th And we ask that you defer the decision and allow for a community process to be completed. Thank you.
Respectfully, Madam Chair, and Michael Reiskin and I have spoken on this, but we reached out to the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council on September 30th, where we were then referred to the Jamaica Plain Business and Professional Association, who again, we met with on October 16th. We did not hear from the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council after this meeting on the 16th until they reached out this past Sunday, suggesting a November 5th hearing date. This, again, after ONS confirmed that, they wouldn't require a community process. We're happy to meet with the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council and in fact, again, have a hearing scheduled for November 5th at 7 p.m., which we flyered for yesterday. But as the board knows, these applications can take some time at the ABCC. And this application is very important to this transaction. And we don't want Albee Jura and the Galway House to incur any further time or expense caused by further delay. So we again respectfully ask the board to not defer and to continue with their vote as scheduled tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board following the testimony? Okay. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Items number 8 through 11 will be called together. The licensee is RBSBW Inc., doing business as Roach Brothers Supermarkets at 8 Summer Street and at 1800 Center Street in West Roxbury. Items 8 and 10, holder of a retail package store all alcoholic beverage license and a retail package store wines and malt beverage license, has petitioned to change the corporate structure of the licensed business and has petitioned for a change of ownership interest and has also petitioned for a change of stock interest. Items 9 and 11, holder of the same two licenses, has petitioned for a change of ownership interest and has petitioned for a change of stock interest. Attorney Andrew Upton, once again, Attorney Upton.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Upton, Cannell and Devlin for the licensee. With me is my co-counsel, Alex Fury of Considine and Fury.
Good morning.
These are pre-approved transactions by the ABCC because they are 2 of 9 locations. So I believe the board is in receipt of a letter pre-approving from the ABCC. What we are doing here is making a corporate change to the Roach Brothers entity that owns this license at 8 Summer Street and on Center Street in West Roxbury. The corporate change involves a change of name and a change of business entity status. So these are technical changes for tax purposes. The second change for both is a transfer of 51% of the stock from some of the Roach brothers who are retiring from the business to a man named Michael Bizzuto, who is a businessman in Connecticut, longstanding food service professional. So first, we're making the technical change at each location. Then we are transferring the stock. Other than that, there are no changes to any aspect of operation, hours, management, floor plan. No aspect of the operation in any location here or in Massachusetts is changing. We've got a technical corporate change for tax purposes. Then we have the transfer of stock. And as I mentioned, it is pre-approved by the ABCC. So with that, we're glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. I have no questions. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
No questions. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on these matters 8 through 11? Seeing none, the board will take these under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 12, the board has learned that the required abutter notifications had not been sent prior to the hearing. The applicant has been notified that they will need to re-advertise and resend notifications and appear at a future hearing. Calling item number 13, W Entertainment Group, Inc., doing business as Limelight, located at 204 Tremont Street. Holder of a common victualler 7-day wines and malt beverages liqueurs license, has petitioned to amend the description of the premise from ground floor restaurant divided into 13 rooms, kitchen and storage in rear, entrance and exit in the front and rear of the building, bar with 15 seats, to ground floor including restaurant, approximately 11,740 square feet total, with performance area, stage and tables with approximately 30 seats, lounge with seating for approximately 7 patrons and bar with 11 seats, 23 individual karaoke rooms, together with kitchen, service bar, storage, office space, and restrooms. The building has entrances and exits at the front, rear, and side. And secondly, is petition to change the DBA of the licensed business from Limelight to Viva Karaoke and Studios. Attorney Dennis Quilty. Attorney Quilty.
Good morning again, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. Excuse me, Dennis Quilty, representing the licensee. With us this morning is Henry Wong, who's the, excuse me, owner-operator. The application before you today comes about as an application for alteration of premise and change of DBA, resulting from Mr. Wong's ability to take over adjoining space to add to his existing business at this location. That is the change, the only change that's being requested, in addition to a change of DBA to the new name of Viva Karaoke and Studios. Otherwise, the business remains the same, no change of hours, operations, et cetera, just the additional space that he's able to lease immediately adjacent to his premises. And Mr. Wong is here if you have any questions.
Thanks very much for that.
Oh, I just want to we reached out to ONS. They didn't require an abutters meeting, asked us to flyer the area, which we did, met with the NPPNA. They had no opposition, and also reached out to the downtown residents. Did not get a response, but we don't think it's in their jurisdiction anyway. But in any event, we reached out. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I have no questions. Commissioner Carano Saxon, do you have any questions?
I do not, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. As you heard from the applicant's representation, ONS required flyering to abutters. And the applicant also went on to engage with local stakeholders as well. I believe they're also in contact with Emerson College. We're unaware of any concerns at this time, and with that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chairs and members of the board. Laura here from Councilor Flynn's office. At this time, Councilor Flynn would like to respectfully ask for additional community process with neighbors from the Downtown Neighborhood Association, and that the board please refrain from any votes until the process has been completed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I respond to that? We reached out to everybody we were told to reach out to.
Okay, I can bring that information back to the councilor.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Board will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 14, Coppersmith Hall LLC, located at 40 West 3rd Street in South Boston, holder of a common victualler 7-day all alcoholic beverages license, has petitioned to transfer the license and the location from the above to ARE 15 Necco TRS Holding LLC, located at 15 Necco Street. Premise consists of 7,371 square feet on ground floor of life sciences and office building, consisting of contiguous restaurant dining areas with seating for 174 patrons, a bar with seating for 11 patrons, and a private dining room with seating for 40 patrons. Kitchen, back of house storage areas, and restrooms located throughout. 3,000 square foot annual weather permitting outdoor patio on private property with seating for 170 patrons, 1 a.m. indoor closing hour, 1 a.m. outdoor closing hour. Michael Shea Sims, manager. Attorney Mike Ross. Attorney Ross.
Thank you, Attorney Green. And good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Michael Ross with Prince Bell here on behalf of the applicant, and with me today is Shea Sims, the proposed manager of record, as well as Senior Vice President of Asset Services for Alexandria Real Estate, who is the owner of this property. I'm also joined by my colleague, Attorney Maggie Roberts. As Attorney Green stated, we're here today to request a transfer of license from Coppersmith Hall LLC to ARE 15 Necco TRS Holdings LLC, and a change of location to 15 Necco Street. 15 Necco Street is a 12-story life science building that's fully leased to the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly and Company for research and development, and opened this past summer. The property is in the 4 Point Channel neighborhood, and it overlooks the channel and Harbor Walk. The ground floor of the building offers restaurant and outdoor patio space, which is the proposed license premise that we're seeking to transfer the license to. As we detailed in our application, this space is, as mentioned, 7,371 square feet, along with a 3,000 square foot outdoor patio that overlooks the channel. The growth of the 4 Point area includes the approximate 1,500 tenants in this property, including those tenants, would benefit from an additional licensed restaurant. At this time, an operator has not been formally identified. The applicant will either operate the premises itself with an operator through a management agreement, or may seek to transfer to an operator who will lease the premises with the building. In either case, there will be a robust community process to go through that. As mentioned, Shay Sims will be the proposed manager of record for the license. Shay's a U.S. citizen. He's a resident of Massachusetts. He is familiar with the rules and regulations of the board and the ABCC, and as they pertain to the sale and service of alcohol. In addition to being the Senior Vice President of Asset Services for Alexandria, where he oversees the management operation of the company's assets, including 15 Necco, Shay has prior experience in the restaurant industry, having worked as a waiter and a bartender throughout college. As such, he is prepared to serve in this role until a new operator and new manager of record is identified. I'll pause there, Madam Chair, and see if there are any questions. Thank you.
What do you think the timing is on getting a new operator? When you think you'll be open?
We think that upon the full tenant fit out of the space, we would be looking at optimistically last quarter of 2025.
Okay, please keep us posted.
I will.
Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
Not at this time, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office will defer to the judgment of this board. ONS will conduct a full community process when they are further along with an operator and / tenant identified, which will involve an abutters meeting as well as meeting with the 4 Point Neighborhood Association. Until then, as I said, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and members of the board. Laura here from Consular Flynn's office. At this time, he would like to support with the understanding that there is no operator yet. However, it is our understanding that when an operator has been determined, there will be indeed a community process where the neighbors can offer their feedback and quality of life concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? The board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 15,
Thank you.
Fajitas and Ritas Inc., doing business as Fajitas and Ritas, located at 25 West Street, holder of a common victular 7-day all alcoholic beverages license, has petitioned to transfer the license and the location from the above to Parsons CC Southie Opco LLC, doing business as Common Craft, located at 85 Damrell Street. Premise consists of 7,975 square foot premises located on one floor, consisting of 6,395 square feet of restaurant space, which includes a main dining room with seating for approximately 80, bar with seating for approximately 52, 2 private dining rooms, one with seating for 24, one with seating for 38, together with storage, kitchen, office, and restrooms in rear of space. A 1,580 square foot seasonal patio space on private property, with seating for approximately 32, with a patio closing hour of 11 p.m. and overall restaurant closing hour of 1 a.m. Lawrence Leibowitz, manager. And additionally, the applicant has petitioned to pledge the license to Washington Village Phase 1 Property Owner LLC. Attorney Nick Zazula. Attorney Zazula.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Attorney Green. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley. With me today on behalf of Parsons CC Southie Opco LLC, doing business as Common Craft, is Larry Leibowitz. Larry is the LLC manager. He's also the proposed manager of record on this license. This is at 85 Damrell Street. It's located in the new Washington Village development in the Andrew Square neighborhood of South Boston. As Attorney Green referenced, it's just under 8,000 square feet in total space. That includes just about 6,400 square feet of restaurant space, as well as 1,580 square feet of seasonal patio space, which is on private property. And that's about 32 seats, and the proposed closing hour for that is 11 p.m. and an overall proposed closing hour of 1 a.m. For the overall restaurant. The general theme, Madam Chair, we did submit a presentation with some of these background and concept information, but the highlights are that this is a full-service restaurant, an associated tap and tasting room, a wine bar, and kind of a speakeasy style cocktail bar. There would be 3 custom environments under one roof, kind of a mixology room, a wine room, and then a main dining room kind of common area as well. Each environment would have its own DNA, so to speak, unique design elements and things like that to really provide a unique concept. The space will also feature a number of custom art installations that will pay homage to the craftspeople who work in the restaurant industry, hence the name Common Craft, and the tools that they have historically used in their trades. And so what Common Craft likes to do is bring these trades and stories to the forefront of the actual restaurant experience through design, staff education, event activations, marketing efforts, and the like. So not a traditional kind of cookie cutter restaurant, but really a lot of backbone to it, so to speak. And the restaurant would also create an ongoing slate of activations that would really help kind of bring these craftspeople to life throughout the year, rotating to provide the community with kind of unique and fun educational culinary experiences as well. As far as the character and fitness of the applicant, they've successfully operated Common Craft in Burlington since May of 2022, so over 2 years now. They've had no issues or violations at that establishment where they also hold the liquor license. Mr. Leibowitz, who's the manager of record as well as the LLC manager, has over 30 years of industry experience, spans restaurants, hotels, social, and corporate catering. He's also the co-owner of 2 restaurants in Salem, Bambolina and Kokeshi, as well as the owner and operator of Common Craft in Burlington, which I just mentioned. And I will note that we did also submit in our materials some security details, operations, training, tips, compliance, et cetera, that go to this finding. 2 more items: public need. This type of restaurant in use has been discussed and anticipated during the overall Washington Village project development, which has been going on for several years now, included in-depth public input, review and processing, overwhelming public support, not only for the development itself, but for these types of vibrant uses in Andrews Square. And I know that the mayor's office will speak to this, but we did meet with the Andrews Square Civic Association last month, which voted to support the application and the transfer. I believe they did submit a letter of support to the board first thing this morning. So hopefully that finds its way into the board's files. And then finally, housekeeping. Mr. Leibowitz, as the manager of record, he is a resident of Massachusetts. He is a citizen of the United States. He's over 21 years of age, and he does have extensive experience in the restaurant industry, which I just previously detailed to you all. So happy to pause here, Madam Chair, and we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. And thank you.
Is the manager of record here? I'm just trying to find him.
Yes. Larry L. Madam Chair, he's top right on my screen of the Brady Bunch, but I don't know for yours.
Okay.
Where he may be, but he is here on camera. Yes.
All right, thank you. I think your attorney covered the questions, but I'm not sure he got the last one, so to make sure I get on the record. Mr. Leibowitz, are you familiar with the rules and regulations of the board, the ABCC, and the laws of the Commonwealth pertaining to the sale and service of alcohol?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I have no other questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you?
I do not, thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office will defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on the community process. ONS hosted an abutters meeting in September. There was just one question from residents regarding the hours of operation. Another resident did testify in support during that public meeting. As you heard from the applicant's representation, they went on to meet with the Andrews Square Civic Association, which was supportive of this proposal. Unaware of any concerns at this time. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chairs and members of the board. Laura here from Consular Flynn's office. At this time, he would like to go on record and support based on a good throughout community process and good faith compromises on the closing hour with neighbors and the Andrew Square Neighborhood Association. The councilor respectfully requests that the team continue to work with the community on any quality of life issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Haley.
sorry. Hi, Madam Chair, members of the board. Haley Dillon from Senator Nick Collins' office. Senator Collins is in full support. He's worked closely with the Andrew Square and the neighbors, and we're excited to have, there is a public need for something like this in that area. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Thank you. The board will take this under advisement as well.
Thank you.
Calling item number 16, Meniagiro Seaport Inc. doing business as Meniagiro located at 50 Northern Ave. Holder of a common victular 7-day wines and malt beverages license has petitioned to transfer the license and the location from the above to Sarva Foods LLC, doing business as Sarva Cafe located at 279 Newbury Street. Premise consists of in one room on ground floor consisting of various dining areas, bar, seating, restroom and storage, kitchen in rear, 3,000 square feet, together with a seasonal April to November outdoor patio on private property, 1,200 square feet, with seating for 50 patrons. Closing hours, 12 a.m. indoors and 10 p.m. outdoors. Bonus, the Baratu manager. And secondly, is petition to change the classification of the license to a wines and malt beverages with liqueurs license pursuant to the authority contained in Chapter 481 of the Acts of 1993. And finally, is petition to remove the following conditions from the license. Those conditions are alcoholic beverages to be served only in conjunction with meals and no bar. Attorney Dennis Quilty. Attorney Quilty.
Good morning again, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the applicant before you this morning for the transfer of his license. With us is Mr. Bonus Taparatu, who is involved in the ownership and is the proposed manager of record. This location was formerly Faux Real, and prior to that, Kashmir Indian Restaurant. Mr. Taparatu's plan is to create a modern Indian cuisine dining experience at this location. They have been open since September 1st with the CV only, and has been very popular in the neighborhood. We had a ONS of Butters meeting on July 30th. There were no issues raised at the meeting. And we met with the Neighbor Association of the Back Bay on August 5th and received a letter of non-opposition from them. I think with that, we are happy to answer any of your questions. Mr. Taparatu is a U.S. citizen and Mass resident and is familiar with the rules and regulations of the board and the ABCC with regard to the sale and service of alcohol. Thank you very much.
Thank you for covering those 4 questions. And you said you've been open with CV only since when?
September 1st.
Okay, great. I have no questions at this time. Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon, do you?
I do not, thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. As you heard from the applicant's representation, ONS hosted a Butters meeting on July 30th. There was only one abutter present. They expressed a request that the patio close either 10 p.m. or earlier due to concerns out of noise. The applicant then went on to meet with the Neighborhood Association of Back Bay in August, where they received a letter in non-opposition. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Anthony, Councilor Sharon Durkin. She would just like to go on record in support of the application. She just loves to see that Indian food made its way back to Newbury Street, and obviously this license would help continue that success. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? The board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Calling item number 17, Mr. G's Corner LLC, doing business as Maddie's Provisions and Spirits, located at 2193 Commonwealth Ave in Brighton, has applied for a retail package store all alcoholic beverages license to be exercised on the above. A retail package store with first floor of approximately 932 square feet, consisting of a community tasting table, dry goods storage, cold storage, and a basement of approximately 566 square feet for storage, with a total square footage of 1,498 square feet. Manager Amir Khan Chowdhury, closing time 10 p.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
Good morning, Secretary Green, Attorney Joe Hanley, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley in 28 State Street in Boston. Shall I begin?
Please
Yes.
do.
Thank you, Secretary Green, and Madam Chair, members of the board, for this opportunity. I am representing the proponent, LLC, which is proposing to open a gourmet provisions small scale boutique market here with a package store license under the name of Mr. G's LLC with a DBA of Maddie's Provisions and Spirits. I have the proposed owner, Andrew Arbini, with me. I also have the proposed manager of record, Amir Chowdhury, with me as well. So just to give you a little background to start with the location itself, 2193 Com Ave in Brighton is at the corner of Lake and Commonwealth Avenue on the outbound side of Commonwealth Ave. It is a long existing mixed-use retail food and market type building with a number of other operations, food service, cafe. This space that we are seeking to go into is the former UPS retail outlet store. It is small in scale. You'll see in the floor plans that we submitted roughly 930 square feet. So the proposal is to meet the substantial public need in this part of Brighton, which has lacks sufficient outlets as is proposed by Mr. Arbini. We required approval for the use for this, and it was approved unanimously by the Zoning Board of Appeal on September 24th. In further support of the public need, I'd also note that as part of that approval, the Boston Planning and Development Agency submitted a written recommendation of support, echoing the appropriateness of this location for this type of concept, and noting that there are no liquor stores within the area, with the closest liquor store being, of course, a mile away. So what is being proposed here is not a large-scale alcohol service facility. What is being proposed is something that will complement the growing population in Brighton in this area, the residential community, which is towards the back of this site, and to provide a distinct and unique offering that is not otherwise available. Madam Chair, for the record too, we submitted a statement of public need and compliance with the character and fitness and public need requirements, as well as the required finding that the board make that this will not negatively impact the operations of a church within our vicinity. That church is St. Ignatius, which is also in a separate municipality. It is in the city of Newton. It is across the thoroughfare and a bit up the street towards the BC campus. This location is in a local convenience area, and our public need for this application is also evidenced by over approximately 30 abutting and nearby residents who express their strong support for the concept, as well as a vote by the applicable neighborhood group, which overwhelmingly supported this application, the Brighton Alston Improvement Association. We are very aware of the proximity to Boston College. We have had the opportunity to study Boston College's liquor service policies and the like. This is completely distinct from that. The operator comes from a family which owns this building, which lives in the neighborhood and have been stewards of this building and active participants of the community. So one of the things that's really important, I think supports the character and fitness here, is the strict alcohol service policies, which we have worked with Mr. Arbini and Amir to formulate and adopt for IDing of patrons, for using state-of-the-art scanners, but also requiring backup and additional scrutiny. All of the staff will be tip certified, ServSafe. Both Mr. Arbini and Amir are up to date with their tip certification. Credit cards will be checked against ID for further verification. Cameras will be used in the store. And I think what's important is, and we're willing to have this as a condition on the license if it's the board's pleasure, there will be no nips sold. There'll be no kegs. We won't be selling lottery or tobacco products. And I think what is really important with respect to this location with Boston College a little further away is there will be no third-party delivery of alcohol. In other words, DoorDash, Uber Eats. In studying the alcohol service actions and items that we've seen over at Boston College, there been a series of violations that relate to third-party deliveries of alcohol, and we think it's important that we not be part of the solution and not part of the problem, and so that is something that we'll forbid. So to get to the premise itself, and the concept, the idea is to provide sales and service that is not available in the Brighton community to meet its population growth of over 10% in accordance with the last census data, which continues to expand, to sell kosher wines, to sell small batch selections of fine spirits, and to pair that with gourmet provisions and items that folks can walk to, come home, take with them, and pair for dinner and the like at their homes for this growing population in this area. So in conclusion, our manager of record, as required by Chapter 138, is experienced in the field of alcohol service. Again, also tip certified. Mr. Arbini has been tip certified. And we would suggest that this application squarely fits within the guidelines for the issuance of this package store license in an area where the neighborhood is underserved, where we have a fit and appropriate operation with strict operation policies. And we have evidence of demonstrated significant community support, neighborhood group support, and planning support for this existing site, which has always been, or for quite some time, has been a mixed use development. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, and our team is here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Where is the manager of record?
Amir, are you on?
Yes, I'm present.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for joining us today, sir. Just going to go through our manager of record questions.
Yep.
Are you a citizen?
Yes.
Do you live in Massachusetts?
Yep. Yes.
Can you explain again for the board what your experience is?
I've grown up around the industry through family, through formal work. I've had, I'd say, 20 years of unofficial experience around the business, but also about 12 to 13 years of official experience in the business, whether it's liquor, beer and wine, tobacco. I've worked in Boston for the past 7 to 8 years, working with the local licensing authorities. So it's been pretty extensive.
So have you worked in a store, in a licensed premise where you've been responsible for checking for underage IDs, and can you explain that a little bit?
Strictly package stores.
Okay. Any of them close to any college campuses?
My parents had one near Harvard University back in the day, so
okay,
pretty much the same distance as what Mr. G's would be to Boston College.
Okay, and the final question is, are you familiar with the rules and regulations of the board, the ABCC, and the laws of the Commonwealth pertaining to the sale and service of alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering those questions and for joining us today. So, I do have some questions. Thank you for outlining the community process. Do you want to talk, do the owners want to talk a little bit about what their concept is, or?
Yeah, I think that would help. Thank you.
Yeah.
And part of this too is the local connection to a family that's really been a fixture in this part of Brighton and for this property. So Andrew Arbini, Andrew, why don't you introduce yourself and if you could provide some more details.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Hi, everyone. So my name is Andrew Arbini. My grandfather actually started working in this same building several decades ago, originally within a sandwich shop that specialized in meatball subs, but all kinds of Italian subs. He was working as a manager there before he saved up to try and buy the store. But the owner was not willing to sell, and so he saved up for a few more years and eventually bought the building, and then negotiated with the owner in order to operate his own sandwich shop, which came to be known as College Sub or Mr. G's College Sub. He's operated a business there for about 30 plus years before he passed away, and the sandwich shop closed down. My mother and her three sisters continued the management of the building and have continued its operation to this day. And it has always been a dream of mine to continue my grandfather's legacy and also my mom and my aunt's legacy of serving this community and operating a business on this corner. The idea for a gourmet offering like this came from spending time at my aunt's house, which is actually the adjacent house to this property, and realizing that there were very few options to pick up something like craft beers or a nice bottle of wine as a thank you for letting me stay over. And the realization that the community is probably being underserved because of the presence of businesses that focus towards the college students, which is totally fair and understandable. But I think it highlighted the issue here, which is most of the businesses in the area cater to the college students, and I understand why. And I think the opportunity to open something that catered more to the growing community was something that would both serve the community well, but would also be a good business opportunity and an opportunity to continue this family legacy for me. And as Joe's mentioned, we've been very thoughtful about the process we would go through and the steps we would take to make sure that we are part of the solution and not the problem in the community. We are aware of the presence of Boston College, and though they sell alcohol on campus and host tailgates on campus, we do not feel that we will contribute to the current environment of underage drinking through our strict IDing policy, our strict enforcement policy, our avoidance of third-party delivery. But also, I think one of our biggest deterrents will be in being strict and enforcing those policies, confiscating fake IDs, working closely with the university, regardless of their view on our store. I think if we are lucky enough to get approval, we will have to work with Boston College in order to keep the community safe and to prevent students from even attempting to come into the store. That being said, I also think that what this brings to the community with a responsible owner and someone who's implementing these careful policies, this brings a lot to the community too. Right now, someone who's commuting home from work or who is just in need of something for their fridge or for an event they're going to, it has no walking distance option to pick up a nice bottle of wine or a gift basket or a six-pack of craft beers. And I think this would serve that need really nicely. And we will be diligent in order to ensure that this serves the need of the community while not contributing to any of the underage drinking or negative things that are going on in proximity to Boston College.
Thank you. Thank you for that history and the description. And I do want to say, in my capacity as Director of Mayor's Office of Consumer Affairs and Licensing, also in this role too, we work very closely with Boston College to help them activate on-campus activities, including tailgates, and they do apply for liquor licenses for certain events. We work closely with them to help them keep the students on campus so they're not leaving campus to look for, you know, places they can drink on with, you know, fake IDs and buy alcohol. We're trying to help them activate on campus more so that there is less of an attraction for students to go off campus. So just saying, as I think through this application, those are some of the things I keep in mind. And excuse me. So you talked about your strict IDing policy. Can you explain that one more time?
Yes, so right now we compared it to what BC uses at Alumni Stadium. And BC's policy is out-of-state IDs might be subject to a second form, and that's pretty much it. They ID all customers and then might check for a second form. Our policy will be all customers are ID'd, second form of ID for anyone where we have doubts or concerns, depending on the age. That could be under 40. We are all going to be TIP certified, which is not a current requirement, but will be a requirement for our stores. So everyone goes through that training and receives certification, which includes keeping a log of all customer interactions that could present issues. So anytime you deny service or have concern about a customer, you keep a log of that activity. We'd also use scanning technology. So all IDs are going to be scanned regardless of your age, and any doubts will result in requesting a second form. We also, anytime a credit card is used, we check that credit card against the ID, and then we'll have cameras in the store running constantly in order to ensure that people kind of match those identifications. And then I think we're hoping to kind of keep those policies in place. But I understand your point about keeping college students on campus and engaging with them in that way. I think one of the most important things that I would describe here is I understand the convenience of this location and why a college student might come here as opposed to going a further distance to a different store. What I'd like to highlight is that this store being a very small footprint that is focusing on a higher end product and customer, and frankly, just the realities of this business, we will not have the scale to charge the same price or to even sell a 30 rack of beer at a competitive price compared to the larger retailers that order massive amounts of inventory. This is not the type of store that a college student would be seeking out constantly because we cannot compete with Total Wine and Spirits on price. We do not.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you have like a price point, a minimum price point in mind, or that is part of your business plan? Like, could you go there and buy a case of Bud Light?
A Bud Light, we would avoid anything plastic, but in theory, we would hope to have cases of bottles, things like Corona or higher end items. The idea would be that these are higher end beers that we're selling. And I would imagine that maybe one fridge could be dedicated to cases, but that is something that if this board deemed would preclude us from being able to open the store, that's something we would be happy to avoid.
I would add too, if you look at the floor plan, right, as I said, this is a very narrow, small, but narrow and long space, about 900 square feet, certainly not a big box. And half of it is gourmet provisions. We have a community tasting table. So the fact of the matter is you literally don't have the space for that. And I think it's actually, from a factual and legal standpoint, Madam Chair, one of the things that we did was review the records of violations. And I know that the district folks are on the record of alcohol violations in Brighton. And as it relates to BC students, one that comes glaring out in Brighton Center, underage at a package store, 30 packs of Natural Light, and beer balls, not sold here, right? Now, combined with the strict policies, that goes right to the point, we think, to address these types of issues. The ABCC also did an investigation on BC's campus and suspended the license of GoPuff. So we talk about third-party deliveries. There were 19 counts of underage sales by GoPuff on Boston College's campus in May of 2023, so just last year. One of the things we heard from BC was the concern about deliveries, and so we have agreed to make that a part of our condition, that there will be no third-party deliveries. So, just because we're proposing to have a small, package store component near a college doesn't mean that there are going to be violations. I think what is important is what we've done to understand what the problems are and how we can be part of that solution and operate in a way that is responsibly and compliant. I will say the first thing we did, the community process on this case has been extensive. We've had a butters meeting.
Joe, let me just jump in before you
Yep.
get to the community process. I just had
Yep.
some follow-up questions to the floor plan.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
I just want to get my train of thought out. Back to, I lost my train of thought there. Okay, the floor plan. This is what I'm looking at. Mr. Arbini, we've had an uptick in applications for package stores in other neighborhoods as well, especially in South Boston. This board has continued to ask any new applicant and any new licensee that is issued a license by this board for a package store in, let's say, South Boston. A lot of these, quick marts are adding a couple coolers of beer and wine. We're asking them to keep a copy of the floor plan on premise so that the police can inspect. And the reason why we're asking this is we don't want places to creep beyond this. What you're describing here is like a charcuterie food market / complimentary wine.
I understand.
So
Yeah.
what we would ask is that so I'm looking at your floor plan right now. One side is kosher and dessert wines. The other side is coolers that you're not quite sure what's going in there yet. And then the craft beer and local small batch spirits. So you're saying if permitted, the glass bottle upscale beers would go in where the coolers are?
Yes, in some of them, but there would also be meats and cheeses in the coolers as well, and then potentially seasonal flowers in one of them, depending. I understand that provision about keeping a floor plan on premise and would be happy to do that. I can understand your concern about the creep factor.
Yeah, so
Sorry, I'll let you speak.
should you get a license from this board, we would ask that this floor plan include exactly where the beer, larger scale beer is being sold, so that should there be some change to your business model that requires you to shift to other types of products, you would have to come back to this board and get approval for expanding those coolers in such a way that displaces food, if that makes sense.
Agreed. Yes, that does.
Okay.
That's fair.
And then with the, again, I have a list of all the package stores in Brighton, and it's true, the closest one is just under a mile, but it's been my experience as chair of the board, the college students aren't walking to go get their cases of beer. They're often traveling in packs, and one person decides to take the risk and go use their fake ID at such and such a place, package store in Brighton Center, or this place or that place. We have been dealing a lot with those operators, and some of them choose not to use scanners, or some of them choose to use scanners and not update the software, and it's a risk everyone takes. So scanners are not a foolproof method to determine whether or not someone is underage. So it is in your best interest to train your employees. The other thing is, we had this discussion yesterday with another much larger scale operator in the city of Boston. As far as out-of-state IDs, it's very common in this neighborhood. They could have, whether it's students or parents deciding to buy stuff, and your choice about what you decide to use as a backup ID. I strongly recommend that be a picture ID. Credit cards, expired credit cards are often used. We see this all the time. So again, these are risks you're taking as an operator. And in this particular neighborhood, this board is taking a very hard look at these sorts of things. So when you think through your business plan and your operations plan, think through exactly what gives you the most protection as far as rules and what you accept as far as IDs. There is no excuse that the ID scanner was down or we didn't have enough money to pay for the updated software. And it's true that sometimes fake IDs get through, but you need to do what is best for your operations, but also all of these things are risks. And just to sum up, the floor plan would have to be located at the, wherever your license is, so that if, upon inspection, if police come in, they can compare it to the description. And then, so, all right, and then I would ask in writing, should you be granted a license, an explanation of like what you've decided to sell as far as those larger, I don't know what you call them, cases of beer.
Okay.
Is it 30? Is it 12? Is it 18? We would like to know what is being offered and where that is located on this floor plan. And yes, I do know there's been extensive community process, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was just, Madam Chair, speaking to that, as it relates to, the proximity to Boston College. So one of the first things that the applicant did was to reach out to Boston College. I know they have concerns. I deeply respect those concerns. What we intend to do is to send a message early on that this is not the place that college kids are going to be able to get any access to. Underage college students are going to be able to get any access to alcohol. And it's not just relying on, as you noted, the scanner system, but it's the combination of all these strict policies, and also the investment that the Grealish family, of which Andrew is a part, who are the property owners and who live in this neighborhood and have lived with Boston College as part of their neighborhood for generations as well. The other thing I will say, I know you mentioned you have a list of all the package stores in Brighton. In dealing with the proximity to the Catholic Church, St. Ignatius, if you'll look at that list, you'll see that it's also not uncommon for this board to grant this type of license in very close proximity to places of worship. For example, Huntington Liquors on Commonwealth Avenue is directly beside a park and directly beside a synagogue. So we very much are mindful of that as well. And if you look at our hours of operation, we've adjusted them accordingly. In particular, we have a much later opening on Sunday so that we're not coinciding with the popular family mass at St. Ignatius. And so we would suggest that in addition to a lot of these measures meets the requirement that we will not have an impact. And then finally, we are committed to an ongoing collaboration with Boston College, regardless of their opposition. Mr. Arbini takes this very seriously. Again, his family's been in this neighborhood for generations. We are a city of neighborhoods, not a city of colleges. And I think you'll hear from the people on this meeting that this neighborhood would like a little more local services and a little less university. And that's what we're trying to provide. So thank you.
I'd also like to thank you for that feedback and advice. It's something that we are going to be constantly seeking, working with local PD, local security, Boston College. And I also think in addition to all of the measures we're taking, a big deterrent will be reputation, acting on our policies and taking fake IDs, confiscating them, contacting the proper authorities, contacting Boston College. If they deem that necessary, we would be happy to engage with them in that way. And I've found that from my college experience, that type of reputation is an effective deterrent for underage drinking, but it's only effective if you are constantly diligent and enforcing those policies. And that's something we intend to do. But I really appreciate your feedback and advice on that.
Okay, those are all my questions. Commissioner Curran, would you like to go first?
Yes, I don't have much. I just want to build on what the chair has said. I agree with everything she said. She said a lot of stuff I've been thinking of as she's been saying it. The one last thing I'll advise is it's a bit of old school advice. Came up more when I was first on the board, but prospective purchasers, if you have any doubt about them and say they're telling you, I'm from New Jersey, but I live here. They can always be advised that they can go and obtain a Massachusetts liquor ID to go along with their state ID, and that will corroborate, and then they'll be welcome in your store. But and you need to empower everyone who works for you to have that, to feel like they can say no to a sale, even if the person could be over 21. They have to be more empowered on the erring on the side of caution, from the side of offending someone who actually is of age. Thank you.
Absolutely.
No questions at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. For members of the general public wishing to testify, please do use the raise hand function. I'll call on you in the order that you have signed up. Are there any elected officials or their representatives who would like to provide testimony on this item? Secretary Galvin, I see you raising your hand.
Thank you very much. Good morning, or I guess it's almost afternoon. Thank you again. William F. Galvin, I reside at 46 Lake Street. So while I am an elected official, indeed have represented this area in the legislature for many years previous to my present election, I resided here for 40 years. And I know exactly what goes on in this neighborhood. My home is 9 houses down from the top of the street where this proposed license would be located. I vigorously oppose it. Fighting underage liquor consumption is a weekly effort on both my part, my neighbors, and Boston College. And I'm pleased that they are opposing this so vigorously because they know, as we know, the impact it's going to have on our quality of life. I want to make a couple of points, and I know it's many people wish to speak. First of all, with regard to the church, I have a letter from Father Ronsky, who is the pastor of St. Ignatius Church, which is in opposition. He indicates a package store at the corner of an already congested area open 7 days a week would have a detrimental impact on the activities of the church and the surrounding neighborhood. So therefore, I think that chapter 16C of chapter 138 applies, and I think the board needs to make findings regard to that. Regarding the whole process of discussing the implementation of how liquor would be sold, with all due respect to Mr. Arbini is a resident of Scarsdale, New York. He does not live in Massachusetts and is not employed in Massachusetts. And the previous hearing on this indicated he had absolutely no experience in the liquor industry whatsoever. So
I would be happy to speak to that.
well, you can maybe later, but I just wish to speak to the issues that are out there right now. So anything that's being said has to be viewed in light of that. I do not know Mr. Chowdhury's experience, but I think obviously it would be important. Let me precisely tell the board what the problem is. The problem is going to be people who are over 21 purchasing liquor and then selling it or giving it to underage drinkers. That's the problem we confront every single weekend. I've got the evidence on my front lawn to prove it. The idea that somehow you can prevent that is impossible. To pick up on Mr. Hanley's statements regarding restrictions, I would suggest no delivery, not just third-party delivery, no delivery at all. Secondly, I think beyond the issue of nips, perhaps pints should be also not sold. I also think, for instance, pre-mixed drinks for single service especially should not be sold. If we accept what they're suggesting, I don't, but if one were to accept the idea this is going to be a charcuterie selling kosher wines, then I don't think that should be burdensome on their business plan. The reality is that this is a very sensitive area. As the chair has asked repeatedly, not just on this application, but on previous, are there other sources of alcohol in the area? Yes, there are. There are 8 licenses, and we're not even talking about the Newton licenses that are proximate as well, Star Market and other licenses on Route 9, quite close. The reality is that people who know the neighborhood, the police captain from the district testified at the prior hearing on the zoning against it. The mayor of Newton, who is like 100 feet away, has submitted a letter in opposition. She's opposed to it. I'm opposed to it. There is no basis for this license coming. To describe the premises as mixed use doesn't speak to the truth. The truth is it's basically a food court for Boston College. There are 4 common victualers licenses located already in that premises. It services college kids almost to the exclusion of everybody else. So the idea that somehow this is being done without regard to that is candidly ridiculous. I think the board owes it to the neighborhood not to approve this. I certainly would insist that if the board were to approve it, that it incorporate some of the conditions that the chair has spoken to. And I'll add to them, as I've already mentioned, pints and other types of products that clearly would be used by individuals and could be resold or regiven to underage college students. This is not in the best interest of the community. It is clearly not. I'm going to leave it to Boston College and their representatives who will speak to identify the particular concerns they have. But the idea that you could put this in an intersection where you have a church literally not even a couple hundred feet away, and 5,000 dormitory students across the street who use this facility constantly and not have an impact is ridiculous. I hope the board rejects it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Secretary Galvin. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives who wish to testify before we move to general testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office like to defer to the judgment of this board. Background information on the community process. ONS hosted a butters meeting on May 30th. It was well attended. There was a variety of opinions expressed in that meeting. Those in support of the proposal cited the family's ties to the community and their moral character. Others spoke in support of the concepts of the business, and others also spoke in support regarding promises that the proponent made to mitigate potential impacts on the neighborhood, citing no third-party deliveries, no kegs, etc. Those in opposition, and there were certainly voices in opposition on that meeting, expressed concerns that this would compound existing issues with students consuming alcohol on campus and off campus in the community, as well as also delivery issues contributing to traffic in that area. The applicant went on to meet with the Brighton Alston Improvement Association, which voted to support the proposal. Further, we received 18 letters in support, one from West Roxbury. The overwhelming majority are from the Brighton area. We also received 8 letters in opposition. Those include, but are not limited to, Boston College, which is one of the direct abutters across the street, as well as the mayor of Newton. With that information, we'll defer to the board. Any letters that we've received, we forwarded to this licensing board. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives who wish to testify on this matter? Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Toki. I am the district director for State Representative and House Majority Leader Michael Moran. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome, thank you. It is the policy of Leader Moran to defer to the Boston City Councilor Liz Braden and the residents of Alston and Brighton on all matters before the city of Boston. Leader Moran would like to go on the record noting the long-standing and strong ties the proponent's family, the Grealish family, have with our community. The Grealish family has multi-generational connections with Alston and Brighton as both residents and business owners. They are highly invested in and generous to our community. The high level of community support for this proposal illustrates the confidence that the residents of Alston and Brighton have with this proponent and their trust that this operator will be a responsible member of our local business community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will move to members of the public. Wishing to provide testimony. I see a hand raised from William Evans. You may please provide your testimony.
Yeah, good morning, Madam Chairwoman. Again, I represent Boston College. I know we spoke about its proximity to the university. It literally abuts our dormitories as well as residents where our students live. I think, being here for now 6 years and being the former captain in Alston Brighton and the Boston Police for 9 years, I think there's clearly no need. It's like, as Secretary Galvin said, there's 8 in close proximity. And, obviously I worry about underage drinking. I worry about the safety of our students. And, that's when parents come and leave their child here in August, it's my responsibility to make sure they get home safely. And I honestly believe the less liquor stores we have in the area, especially, a great majority of our students are underage, the less we need this liquor store, which basically is almost on our campus. I agree, the Grealish family, I have nothing but respect for them, but this location is not a good fit for our university. And obviously I know Tom Keaty and others from BC are going to speak, but it's just an unnecessary evil putting it there. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you very much. Yep, Mr. Keaty, I have seen you raise your hand a few times, so we'll allow you to speak if you can unmute yourself. There we go.
Are we good?
We can hear you.
This is, Tom Keaty. I'm the Vice President of Government Relations and Community Affairs for Boston College. Boston College, as
Chief Evans just stated is, as a university, we are absolutely opposed to the granting of this license. We have approximately 9,000 undergraduate students that attend Boston College, and about 5,000 of those students are under the age of 21. We do an awful lot in educating our undergraduate students every year, freshman orientation, about the use of alcohol and the ramifications if caught, using phony IDs, having people purchase alcohol, and also trying to consume alcohol at our football, hockey, and basketball games. We are very, very strict on making sure that anyone buying a beer or a glass of wine is over the age of 21. And if anyone is caught, they are sent to the student court where they are dealt with severe repercussions as they work their way through graduating at BC. There are, as Chief Evans just stated, there are already 8 liquor stores in Brighton. Secretary of State Galvin said not including Newton, so let's throw 3 more into Newton. I want to correct Mr. Hanley. St. Ignatius Church, the address is located in Boston, not in Newton. And this Jesuit Catholic church is directly across the street from this proposed location. And they have masses on Saturday afternoon and Sunday evening. It would be a huge mistake for the city of Boston to grant a liquor store at this location. We spend annually approximately $90,000 a year on police details for this community. When I came here 23 years ago, the number one issue was student behavior. We corrected that over a period of time working with our neighbors. We cracked down, and we have a full-time person that works from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. if there are any parties or any disturbances in this neighborhood. It went 22 years ago to approximately 70 calls a night to less than 1 or 2 a month here at Boston College. And the chairperson for the licensing, Kathleen Joyce, is correct. We have worked very closely with them on our alcohol policy, reporting not once a year, but weekly to our football games and the number of illegal licenses that are collected by our staff during these games. We take underage drinking very seriously at BC. We ask, this is not the right fit for this store. The Grealish family, a great family. They are part of the Boston College community, graduates of BC. I just think that this is a mistake in thinking that BC students are not going to try to go in there and purchase alcohol. It's just a mistake. We deal with it every week. I have Bill Mills, our community affairs person, Steve Montgomery, Bill Evans. We meet weekly on student behavior issues. And one of the biggest issues is illegal drinking in the Austin Brighton community. So with that, I know there are 2 or 3 other representatives from BC that are going to also ask to speak in opposition.
Thank you, and we will get to them all in the order that hands are raised. Just a reminder to please keep testimony to 2 minutes or under. We have a very packed agenda this morning, afternoon now, and any additional testimony can, of course, be submitted to licensingboard@boston.gov. The board does have BC's opposition letter on file. The next hand that I see raised is from Annabella Gomes. Ms. Gomes, you may please provide your testimony and unmute yourself to do so. You'll have 2 minutes.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Annabella Gomes, zoning chair for the Brighton Austin Improvement Association. The Brighton Austin Improvement Association held a meeting where over 20 members of the community directly affected by this location attended specifically for that in support. And the BIA voted to support this proposal. I myself am a direct abutter as my office is next door to this proposed location, and I live right off of Lake Street within walking distance. I would be concerned if it was a different operator. I do have full trust in this operator and this family as they have shown responsibility to the community in the past and have been responsible cleaning up after football games, everything. They have shown that they can be a responsible operator for this. It is a small space. And I do not think that it will affect the students if it is operated properly. If it is not, they should lose their license and it should be revoked. And I do request that the license be to this operator only and not transferable. And I do not see it impacting the community harmfully with this operator in place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next hand I see raised is from Ariella Hellman. Ms. Hellman, you may please provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes to do so, starting now.
Thank you so much. So I speak today in support of the operator. I really appreciate hearing the plans, to make sure that everyone in the neighborhood is going to be, that we're going to ensure the safety of everyone in the neighborhood. I speak on behalf of the Orthodox Jewish community in Brighton, and we particularly appreciate that this operator plans to sell kosher wines and liquors and ensure that everyone in the diverse community of Austin Brighton can benefit from this store. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your testimony. The final hand that I see raised is from Dr. Shauna Cooper Whitehead. You may please provide your testimony. You'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Secretary Green. My name is Shauna Cooper Whitehead. I am the Vice President for Student Affairs at Boston College, and I echo Boston College's opposition to the development of this establishment. I echo, Secretary of State Galvin's, comments about 5,000 of our students are under the age of 21. And it's about access. I would also come to you as a mother and seeing these students having this access to this alcohol. Given the mental health crisis that we're seeing across the country and globally, substance misuse is one of the highest cases of adolescent behavior. They tend to go towards substance misuse, and making these substances more accessible will only exacerbate the problem. As my colleagues have outlined for all of you, we work really, really hard to educate our students, work with our neighborhoods, work with our neighbors to ensure an ongoing relationship. And I think that the establishment of this facility would make it worse. I've seen the aftermath of football games and weekends, and our teams work really diligently with the Boston Police Department to, ensure the safety of our neighbors and of our students. And I remain concerned as an individual and, as I mentioned, as a parent who sees the effects and impacts of students misusing substances. The access of this is the biggest challenge. I'd like to think of Boston not only as a city of neighborhoods, but also a neighborhood that embraces the university community that helps support, the economic development of our city. So I don't think it's an either or, I think it's an and I appreciate you giving me this time to share my significant concerns and opposition.
Thank you very much for your testimony. There was one more hand raised from a William Mills. Mr. Mills, you will also have 2 minutes to provide your testimony.
Good. Thank you. My name is Bill Mills. I'm a lifelong resident of Boston. I live in West Roxbury, and I'm also an employee at Boston College. I'd like to oppose this proposed liquor store at this location. I've been at Boston College for 37 years now. And when I first came here, it was just a mess over here in the community because of the alcohol and the liquor stores and the whole bit. We worked very hard over those years, where now it's a kind of controlled kind of thing here, that, the behavior isn't like it was 36, 37 years ago. And I think you heard the former police commissioner, Bill Evans, talk about that when he was the captain here. And he was one of the biggest proponents about getting the colleges in line. There are other stores that are in the area that are less than a mile away. It's not like we need a liquor store on every corner. I mean, Oak Square Liquors is, you know, under a mile. You've got the 7-Eleven up in Oak Square there, you know, that is 1 mile from, you know, the proponent's proposed liquor store there. And then you've got the gourmet and cellar wine store that sells specialty foods, charcuterie, cheese, breads. So that is also a mile away. So with that in mind, I mean, it's just an inappropriate place to put a package store, you know, where, you know, I actually get a lot of the complaints and, you know, I work closely with Sergeant Gallagher, you know, bringing these issues when we find out where they're going. And all of these proponents come in with the greatest of intention of having a
Mr. Mills, you are at your 2
idea.
minutes if there's a final point you'd like to make, otherwise.
Yeah,
anything
so
that's in writing.
the final point is, most of these places, you know, they come in with the great idea that they're going to, you know, serve the community. They're gonna, and it doesn't work out that way. And they wind up going, you know, and going the other way and serving underage students. And that's when the problems continue. But thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter who have not yet done so?
Yes, thank you. On behalf of Captain Lanchester, this is Sergeant McMahon speaking from the Community Service Office, District 14. The captain was at training today, so I'm going to read a statement that is from Captain Lanchester, District 14. As the District Commander of District 14, Alston Brighton, I am responsible for the public safety and police services in this district. I am here to voice the police department's long stance of not supporting the addition or expansion of liquor licenses. A large number of our calls for service in District 14 involve alcohol in one form or another. In particular, in the area of licenses being requested today, we anticipate additional calls and requests for services, which will spread our resources even thinner than they already are. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who wish to testify on this matter who have not yet done so? Attorney Hanley, are there any additional statements you'd like to make following the testimony?
Yeah, thank you. And it looks like Mr. Keaty's not finished, but would you allow me to conclude, or do you want to hear again from Boston College?
Chairman Joyce, would you like to allow Mr. Keaty to provide additional testimony?
Yeah, unmute. There is someone else who's trying to get on, a neighbor resident, who's just trying to, he called in on his phone.
Okay, there's nobody in the waiting room, and if is anyone trying to
There's a
speak
couple
to the
phone
they can unmute
numbers.
themselves.
Robert, hello, my name is Robert Scanlon. I'm a resident of Brighton. I live on Breck Ave. Now, I oppose this because there's a liquor store right at the bottom of my hill, and there's one a few feet away from that. So I work at Boston College, and I don't think it's a great idea to have a liquor store across the street from the college, where obviously there's a lot of problems with underage drinking. But I understand that, like, they want to try to do something like that, but I honestly believe that the underage drinking will pick up tremendously in our neighborhood. So I'm really opposed to this. I think there's plenty of liquor stores already in Brighton. And I also believe that across the street from a church, I know they said that they were going to open up later on Sundays and stuff, but still, I think opening a liquor store across the street from a church would not be a great idea. So again, I oppose this, and thank you very much for letting me speak. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sorry, Attorney Hanley, back to you.
Thank you, Secretary Green, Madam Chair. I want to thank all the employees and staff for Boston College for their input. I think that there is a shared concern here, and there's a way that this very small, very well-run neighborhood catering operation can strike that balance. And just to pick up on what Mr. Mills said, 30 years ago, this part of Brighton was very different. If we go back that far, we only need to go 10 years back in the census to see that there has been a significant population growth. And that isn't just students, that is residents of Brighton and of the city who this board has heard from in overwhelming support when compared to the opposition. Also represented by the neighborhood group. And I will say with regard to the process, was mentioned about a finding of St. Ignatius in the church and that they're opposed. My office, I have never been provided with any correspondence. You heard from neighborhood services who did not mention this opposition letter. We had a publicly noticed abutters meeting where we flyered the church. We had a meeting with the BAIA. We had a publicly noticed zoning board hearing where the church received notice. And at no time had we had any opportunity or heard anything from them. And I think this is a little bit of what's happened. We did reach out to BC. There were some meetings that we weren't invited to. But what I can say is if with these conditions, if this operator is given a chance, that we will continue to reach out. And I agree with Dr. Whitehead, it's about access. It's about access. And with regard to that church, and Mr. Keaty brought this up, I did not know that they have Saturday masses, and of course you have Saturday football games, and you have tailgate with alcohol in the former St. Ignatius parking lot as well. So there's got to be a way that we can look at this from a balance standpoint. I will tell you that access is our primary concern, and that's why you heard from Mr. Arbini and why we've worked so closely with him to make sure that these protocols and operation measures will be put in place in order to ensure that we're operating in compliance. And just to speak to Secretary Galvin, who I deeply respect, we would be agreeable to your request of no deliveries. We don't intend to deliver alcohol in the neighborhood. This is very small scale. And I deeply respect Chief Evans as well. But if we don't have resources for 500 square feet of kosher wine and cheese, then we're doing something wrong in a big city, especially when there are operating procedures, policies in place, and we're going to be working so closely with the neighborhood. I would also say to resources, as the chair know, this board has a licensed premise unit that is funded and separate from the district police. And so it is with that. The final thing I would say is the finding for Chapter 138 for public need is not just about, well, is there a liquor store a mile away? And the stores that Mr. Mills referenced are in different neighborhoods of the neighborhood, like Oats Square. Mr. Galvin mentioned Star Market and Chestnut Hill. That's almost 3.5 miles away. But what it also means is, are you providing something distinct? Are you providing a product that local residents are underserved for? And that's exactly what this is about. If you read the BPD planning recommendation of the appropriateness of this location and this concept, it's to enhance walkability to a vibrant, long existing mixed use building, and to provide some neighbors that, yes, do respect and do live near a university, but also live in their own residential community and have spoken loud and clear that they think this is something that there is a huge public need for. So in conclusion, Madam Chair, again, I thank Boston College, its representatives, but I also thank all of the neighbors in Brighton who have been waiting for something like this, and the neighborhood group and others who have supported this. And I can pledge on behalf of my client that we will continue to work not just with the supporters and the residents, but also continue to reach our hand out across Commonwealth Ave to Boston College as they deal with their own issues over there. So thank you.
Thank you. Following that, are there any final questions from the board? With that, I do see Mr. Keaty raising his hand again. Chairman Joyce, are we allowing further testimony on this item or are we moving on?
You're on mute, Tom. If you can make it 2 seconds, because we have 7 more applicants and I need a break.
There are no masses during the fall at 4 p.m. if football is played. The church does not have mass on football game days. I just want to make that. Okay, thank you.
We're gonna.
Thank you.
There is a hand raised. This will be the final testimony on this item. PW, you may provide your testimony. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, hi, my name is Paul Wisnitzer. I live on Ondine Road. I've been there for about 20 years, and I'm in support of this for the neighbors. I know they keep mentioning that 20 years ago, things were differently. Well, 20 years ago, there were no dorms across from this location. 20 years ago, the archdiocese next door used to belong to a different entity that was not Boston College. Boston College has kept expanding into the neighborhoods and bringing everything closer to us. What I would say is this is the city of Boston. The city of Boston, if you cannot have something that is close to an institution, a dorm, a place of worship, we end up with all the liquor stores located in the same location, like we have in Oak Square and the other ones that were mentioned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. If there are no further individuals seeking to testify, then the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. The board will take a brief 5-minute recess before reconvening to cover the remaining 7 items on this agenda. I will pause the recording currently and we will resume at 12:50 p.m. Thank you. Thank you all. We are resuming with item number 18, calling DTDA Enterprises, Inc., doing business as Don Tequeño y Doña Arepa, located at 403A Center Street in Jamaica Plain, has applied for a common victual or 7-day wines and malt beverages license to be exercised on the above 1,440 square foot restaurant space on 1 floor with dining area with seating for 45 on the left side of the space, ordering counter and display on the right side of the space, kitchen, 2 restrooms, and storage in the rear of space, 1 entrance, 3 exits. Manager Joel Marte, closing time 11 p.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I'm Juan. I'm present.
Great. Thank you very much. If you could please identify yourself and then briefly present the proposed concepts to the board.
Sure. So my name is Juan. I'm the president, DTDA Enterprises, doing business as Don Tequeño and Doña Arepa. Joining me in person is my wife, Nikki, co-founder. Also joining us virtually is Joel Marte, who will be the manager of record. Joel has about 3 years of experience in the food and beverage industry. He's a resident of Massachusetts, citizens of the U.S., and is familiar with the rules and regulations of the City of Boston Licensing Board and the ABCC. We are a family-ran small business located in Jamaica Plain, 1 of 2 locations. At Don Tequeño Doña Arepa, we offer authentic Venezuelan foods prepared on site, such as arepas, tequeños, cachapas. We also include a variety of gluten-free, vegan, and vegetarian options. As one of the very few Venezuelan establishments in Boston, we look to add more cuisine diversity to the Jamaica Plain area. We strongly believe beer and wine as an additive would enhance our clients' experience with our food. As a stamp of approval, it's the outpouring of support we received from the community in just a couple of days with petition lists. We had over 200 signatures, and that was provided to the board. We also had support from local organizations and businesses such as the Hyde Square Task Force and Nuevo Dia LLC. as I stated earlier, we look to add diversity to the available cuisines in Jamaica Plain, and with the option of beer and wine, I think that would fill the need.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today. That was a really good explanation. Is it Marte? I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong.
Oh, Juan,
Juan, no, the manager of record.
that would be Joel.
Okay, Joelle, what is your experience? I know you have experience, but could you give us a little bit more context about what your experience is in the food and beverage industry?
Yeah, I was basically the chef for the restaurant.
A chef at a restaurant?
Staff manager.
Staff manager. In Boston?
Correct.
Did you say Boston?
Yeah, correct. In Boston, yes.
For how long and where was the restaurant?
About 2.5 years at the location in Blue Hill, the Don Pequeño restaurant in Blue Hill.
And did that restaurant serve alcohol?
It did.
It did?
No, it did not. No.
It did not.
Okay.
No.
Okay. And so you were there for a number of years, okay. And I'm sorry, I know it's a new application for a beer and wine license. Are you currently open and operating as a restaurant with just food?
Yes, we are, yeah.
Okay, and how long have you been open and operating?
So at this new location on Center Street, we opened in like mid-July, I'd say.
Good, okay,
So just about 3 or 4 months now. Yeah.
great. Thank you. I don't think I have any more questions right now. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon, do you?
Not at this time, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. ONS hosted an abutters meeting on, August 15th, I believe. Excuse me, October 15th. It was lightly attended. Our office is unaware of any concerns at this time. We directed the applicant to reach out to the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council's Public Service Committee. And we understand that there was letters of support forwarded to the board. We don't have access to that, but with that, we'll defer. Thank you.
Thank you. I do see a hand raised from Michael Reiskind. You may please provide your testimony.
Sorry, Mr. Reiskind, I just have a couple more questions. If you mind, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm looking at the description. It says there's an ordering counter and a display on the right side. So do you have sit-down service? Or is it go to the counter and then sit down?
Yeah, so we have we also offer a sit-down service. We have capacity for about 45 patrons.
But is it a concept where you come in and there's a waitress or a waiter that takes your order and delivers the food and the drink? Or is it self-serve?
Yeah, so if we are granted a license and we're able to acquire one, we would be shifting our current concept to waiter attending at the desk, but currently it's you order at the counter and then we serve the food at the tables.
Someone brings the food to the table?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so you would just add a server to like take the order and deliver as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. I'm sorry to interrupt. That's my only question.
Thank you, Mr. Reiskind. You may proceed.
My name is Michael Reiskind. I live at 425 South Huntington Avenue, Jamaica Plain, member of the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council and chair of its Public Service Committee. We had a public neighborhood hearing on this issue via Zoom on October 1st, and we'd like to support the request of DTTA for the beer and wine license at this location. This is in the heart of Hyde Square. Been open for about 2 months. As he said, it does have sit down. You order at the counter and then all food is served to the tables presently. This is an expansion of his longstanding restaurant with a CV only on Blue Hill Avenue. So he does have experience. Since this has been operating with a CV only, there was no community process for this previously licensed location. But we did discuss with the beer and wine about the takeout and third-party deliveries because that's become common. There is a 15-minute zone right in front of the restaurant with, I think, 6 to 8 spaces, and there are almost always some open spaces. I've never seen it completely full. So third-party deliveries for food are actually appropriate in this location, and we discussed that. We'd like to support this probably neighborhood restricted license for Don Tequeño y Doña Arepa at 403A Center Street. When we did discuss it, it was leafleted, and we're supporting a 10 p.m. closing. I was a little surprised to see the 11 p.m. Request. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Any further questions from the board following the testimony? Okay. Seeing none, the board will take this under advisement. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Calling item number 19, Dominican Kitchen, Inc., doing business as La Parada Dominican Kitchen, located at 3094 Washington Street in Roxbury, has applied for a common victualler 7-day wines and malt beverages with liqueurs license to be exercised on the above restaurant space located on the ground floor of a single-story building consisting of 2,400 square feet with seating area, kitchen, restroom, and storage, with 1 means of ingress and 2 means of egress, and additional storage in the basement. Manager Jonathan Pena, closing time 11 p.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, Jonathan Pena present.
Great, thank you very much for being with us. If you could please present your proposed concept to the board.
Thank you, Attorney Green, and thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. As I stated before, my name is Jonathan Pena, founder and operator of La Parada Dominican Kitchen. We serve ethnic Dominican food. We opened our establishment during the pandemic, 2020. Our restaurant has been well liked and embraced by the community as a partner in making our neighborhood a great place for all. I also want to state that I am a former Eggleston Square resident and currently living in Rosendale. I'm a proud American citizen of this great nation, and as a testament to our commitment to make our community better, we were recently recognized by Boston Main Street Foundation as Business of the Year. And also this past week, we were also recognized by our state Senate with the award of the Black and Latino Excellence Award. Our restaurant is currently has a license, a CV only license for 18 patrons, and we have a counter that serves the food. We are not proposing to make any other changes to our structure and layout of the restaurant. We will just have room for the beers and wine in the back counter, in the back of the counter. If you have any questions, I'm open for more clarification.
Thank you. You covered the first 3 manager of record questions. So just to get on the record, the final and 4th one, are you familiar with the rules and regulations of this board, the ABCC, and the laws of the Commonwealth pertaining to the sale and service of alcohol?
Great question, Madam Chair. I have been educating myself on that regards since initially I did not foresee us having a beer and wine license at the time that we couldn't afford one. And I have not been certified for the regulations or trained through the regulation. However, I have a background over 20 years working in a biotech industry where I'm very well aware of regulations and rules. And I believe that getting myself trained and my staff, we will be a great fit for the neighborhood and providing a service that is, we see it as a need in our neighborhood, since there are not any other restaurant with sit down that can provide beer and wine.
Okay. Thank you. I'm taking a look at your floor plan and, excuse me. I see that you come in the front door, there's a cash register, and then there's like hot food tables.
Correct.
So how many chairs and tables will there be?
We will obey by the current 18.
Okay, I missed that.
I'm not seeking to add more.
Oh, yeah, you have it, yeah, you did say that, and I have it in my notes. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So, you'll check IDs at the cash register?
Correct. We will not have a way where customers will order food. Is basically they need to order the food first, and if they want beer, they will provide that to the server, that information, and we will check their IDs at the time when beer is requested.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
No questions from me, thank you.
And none from me, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals with firsthand, are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Attorney Green, if I may ask, I would like to share that we have gone through the community process, although we politely asked for the board to defer voting on this proposal, since logistically we couldn't meet with the Eggleston Square Neighborhood Association in time for this meeting and the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council. However, we are on their agenda for meeting with them this upcoming Monday and Tuesday.
Great. If you could, after that meeting, if you could follow up with our office and let us know how the meeting went, that would be helpful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. That's very helpful. Connor, I believe you were about to testify on behalf of ONS.
Yes, thank you. Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office will defer to the judgment of this board. As you heard from the applicants, they have gone through some of the community process. As stated, they're going to be meeting with the civic component next week and should be taking care of that. And our office will also communicate what we hear. We hosted an abutters meeting. It was lightly attended. There was a resident on that expressed support for the proposal. We're unaware of any particular concerns right now, and we're fully confident that they will fulfill their community process next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives who wish to testify before we move to general testimony? Okay, thank you. The first hand I see raised is from Nick Korn. Nick, you can please unmute yourself and provide your testimony.
Thank you to the chair and to the board for allowing me to speak today. My name is Nick Korn, and I'd like to go on the record in support of this applicant. As you've heard, La Parada is a community-centric micro business whose owner, Jonathan, is from the neighborhood, continually contributing to and engaging with the community here, part of the fabric of Eggleston Square, and has repeatedly shown an upstanding reputation, character, and fitness as an operator and as a neighbor. Moreover, there's a clear public need, as La Parada will be the only sit-down restaurant with beer and wine service in Eggleston Square. On a personal note, I love having this restaurant a short walk from my apartment, and I look forward to them having additional offerings. I encourage the board to consider this application not only among the December cohort of zip code restricted licenses, but on its own merit for a Roxbury neighborhood restricted license. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Michael Reiskin, you are the next hand raised. You may please provide your testimony as well.
My name is Michael Reiskin. I live at 425 South Huntington Avenue in Jamaica Plain, a member of the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council and chair of its Public Service Committee. We have a community meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, November 5th, and the applicant is also planning to go to the Eggleston Square Neighborhood Association the day before on Monday. So we ask that you defer any decision on this issue until after then. I would say that Mr. Pena is a longtime business owner at this location with the CV only, one of the most active business people in the Eggleston Square area, and has recently bought a second restaurant directly across the street in Eggleston Square. So very community oriented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Seeing none, the board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you very much. Calling item number 20, Eastie Cafe Dello Sport Inc., doing business as Cafe Dello Sport Eastie, located at 973 Saratoga Street in East Boston, has applied for a common victualler 7-day all alcoholic beverages license to be exercised on the above cafe with 1,020 square feet, which will have a walk-up counter to order, as well as an additional prep area. There will be 2 seating areas, one in the front with seating for 14 people, one in the back with seating for 10 people. Basement space will be used for dry storage only. Manager Myvan Spencer, closing time 11 p.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
I am Myvan Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Thank you for being with us. If you could please briefly outline the proposed concept to the board.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. Myvan Spencer, owner and operator of Cafe Dello Sport. It's a family-run business. We have another location in the North End. We've been there for roughly 35 years, so extensive knowledge in the business. I also operate another restaurant in Boston, Pots Run Porter, which has a full liquor license, so I'm very well versed in how to operate restaurants with liquor licenses. This location will be located at 9073 Saratoga Street. We feel that there's a need for a cafe in particular in the area, as well as a concept unique like this for East Boston. We would be doing similar concept that we do in the North End, which would be a European style cafe with a walk-up counter. We will plan on having table service as well in the evenings. Hours of operation would be 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. with the liquor license being in use from 11 to 11. Obviously, early in the morning would be serving coffee, pastry, and that sort of fare. Some food and pastry in the evening as well, espresso martini and that kind of cocktails. Other than that, open for questions.
Thank you. Are you already an approved manager record? In the North, for your other restaurant?
No, I have an application pending.
All right, so I'm going to go through the questions. Are you a citizen?
Yes.
Are you a resident of Massachusetts?
Yeah.
You've already described your experience. Are you familiar with the rules and regulations of this board, the ABCC, and the laws of the Commonwealth pertaining to the sale and service of alcohol?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and it's the 2-family right next to the funeral home? Is that where it's going?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I have no questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
No questions for me, thank you.
None for me, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on the community process. ONS hosted an abutters meeting on October 7th. The applicant then went on to meet with the Orient Heights Neighborhood Council, which voted to support this proposal. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives who wish to testify on this matter?
Hi, good afternoon. This is Eduardo from Senator Edwards. I would like to testify on behalf of this applicant in support and fully support for his liquor license application.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Sebastian Parra from Councilor Coletta Zapata's office. The council would like to go and support this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Calling item number 21, Angela's Cafe 2 Inc., doing business as Angela's Cafe, located at 1012 Bennington Street in East Boston, has applied for a common victular 7-day all alcoholic beverages license to be exercised on the above, approximately 5,610 square feet total. Approximately 2,700 square feet in one main room on first floor with main dining area, seating, and bar seating for 7. Kitchen in rear, approximately 2,700 square foot of storage in the basement. 210 square foot seasonal outdoor seating, April to October, on a public 137 square feet and private 73 square feet property with seating for 12. Same hours as inside. Manager Ixchel Garcia, closing time 12 a.m. Attorney Kristen Scanlon. Attorney Scanlon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Green, Kristen Scanlon representing the applicant. Signed on with us today are Joel and Ixchel Garcia, father-daughter duo. Joel owns Angela's Cafe at 1012 Bennington Street in East Boston. And just by way of background, Ixchel is the proposed manager of record. She is a U.S. citizen, Massachusetts resident, has worked along with her father for the past 10 years at this location and is familiar with the rules and regulations as it relates to the service and sale of alcohol. Angela's Cafe in East Boston is a very popular neighborhood establishment serving authentic and homemade Mexican food. This application before you this afternoon is for a new all alcohol beverages license. They are a current beer, wine, and cordials license holder at this location where they've been open in Orient Heights for approximately 9 years. They also have another location in Eagle Hill, which they've had a little longer for about 16 years. They have a beer, wine, and cordials license over there for the past 14 years as well. At both, they've been exemplary licensees with no issues to speak of in either one of these locations. By way of background, Joel, he's been in the business pretty much his whole life. For the past 30 years, he used to work for different restaurants and hotels before opening his own. And as I mentioned, his daughter Ixchel has worked on and off with him for the past 10 years running the restaurants. The only change requested for their current business is the inclusion of spirits. Nothing else would change at the restaurant. Everything that was read in the legal description would remain the same, namely the number of seats, which is 54, with only 6 seats at a small quaint bar. And they also have 12 seats on a patio, which was already established at the business when they initially took it over. The hours of operation right now are Sunday through Monday, 8 to 3, and Tuesday through Saturday to from 8 till usually 9 or 10 every day. The liquor license right now is technically till 12 a.m. Sometimes they close a little later, but they happen to just close a little earlier for the majority of the time, just depending on how busy or not busy the restaurant is in the later hours. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day in this location, and breakfast is served every day there until 3 p.m. as well. One of the leading reasons they're seeking the new license is due to the fact that their customers have repeatedly asked for certain tequilas and mezcals, which they currently do not and obviously cannot carry with their existing license. They want to add these new items, which would include, of course, the mezcal and tequilas, along with other options in order to create drinks for these specific spirits and really expand their offerings and round out the true authentic experience with the existing menu items that are offered. The majority of people who visit the restaurant are coming with the intent to sit down and eat at this family-oriented and affordable restaurant. As mentioned, it is limited bar seating, so the focus is truly on people sitting down to dine in with their family and friends. Within the Orient Heights neighborhood of East Boston, there are a lot of fast casual and takeout restaurants, but really limited at this time for dine-in and sit-down restaurant options in this area of the neighborhood. There's only one other nearby restaurant that provides dine-in Mexican fare as an option, which is also mixed in with a Salvadoran influence. So it's a bit distinct from what Angela's currently offers the neighborhoods. The neighborhood, excuse me. There are a couple restaurants within walking distance that do have all alcohol licenses, but they serve totally different food with different concepts. One is Luna's, which serves Italian and Latin food. They do have Renegades next door, which is a completely different concept, menu, experience, and really the focus over there is on a neighborhood bar. And another restaurant nearby that serves Colombian food. So Angela certainly rounds out the type of food offering within the neighborhood. I would think with, once we get through this, hopefully character and fitness isn't in question by the board. Their reputation certainly precedes them. As mentioned, since they've owned this business and the one in Eagle Hill, they've been exemplary licensees. And separate and apart from their food and atmosphere being incredibly popular with the local neighborhood, they're not just a restaurant, but really an integral part of the community since they've been there. Over the years, they've provided endless amounts of time, food, donations, and even the restaurant space itself for meetings to dozens of local youth sport leagues, elected officials, elementary schools, high schools and colleges, local businesses, and local health organizations. They've always been highly responsive to the needs of the neighborhood and firmly believe that everyone should do what they can to lift their neighbors up, which they humbly do time and time again. Separate and apart from that, and to speak to the caliber of their food offerings, they've previously been featured on the popular diners, drive-ins, and dives show on the Food Network with Guy Fieri. They've also been featured several times in Boston Magazine, Phantom Gourmet, Zagat's Dining Guide, and other local features over the years since they've been open. And they have a near 5-star rating with well over 1,000 votes on Google. Just that speaks to the overall character of what they serve, who they are, and the type of people you're greeted with when you come to dine into the restaurant. As far as community process is concerned, we did meet with the Orient Heights Neighborhood Council back in September, which was, they were supportive. We also had an abutters meeting sponsored by the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services that was lightly attended, but we had an immediate abutter log in to say she was in full support. I know the board's in receipt of upward of 40 support letters, including from local elected officials, including State Rep Mataro's office and Councilor Coletta Zapata as well. Lastly, and it bears mentioning, a large part of the timing of this application is, of course, due to the legislation that recently passed creating new licenses for the city of Boston. Based on the business owners themselves, the size of the restaurant, the uniqueness of the offerings and location, we would submit that this is exactly the type of business contemplated by the legislation. When they took over this location in 2016, part of that purchase of the restaurant was the existing license that they have now, which is an unrestricted wine, malt, and cordials license. As the board is well aware, these unrestricted licenses carry value. And since they've had the privilege of being a license holder, they've also been able to use the business asset for necessary collateral for various improvements over the years of the restaurant. The license value in and of itself is oftentimes the most important asset of the restaurant, not only for operations, but for value in the event of a future sale as well. And I mention this because looking back at the 2014 legislation, one of the main unintended consequences I think we saw was the lack of delineation of licenses to specific neighborhoods, resulting in certain neighborhoods reaping more of the benefit of those licenses than others who were also intended beneficiaries, simply due to the timing and ripeness in that point in history for neighborhood redevelopment and revitalization. This is one of the points that this new legislation has now reflected and revised accordingly so that there's presumably more equitable distribution. As part of the new legislation, we know the board is tasked with deciding who is eligible not only for restricted licenses and the zip codes contemplated by that legislation, but also unrestricted licenses that presumably can go anywhere in the city. Despite the fact that this applicant could otherwise be eligible under the legislation for a restricted license, we would respectfully ask the board to consider their eligibility as well for an unrestricted license should the board vote to approve a license for this applicant, due to the fact that we know they may be asked to surrender their existing unrestricted license that does carry value, which would then be turned into the board, which eventually and presumably would go to another business who would then benefit from that value. So we would simply ask that at a minimum, we be considered for an unrestricted license during deliberations, and that just because they could be eligible for a restricted license given their zip code doesn't otherwise eliminate them from consideration for an unrestricted license given their current licensure, as we believe that regardless of their location, they are again the exact type of business contemplated by the legislation if their business happened to be located in another zip code not otherwise contemplated. Appreciate your time and kind of getting through that explanation, but wanted to get that on the record and definitely ask for the board's consideration with that.
Thank you, attorney, and thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Garcia for hanging in here with us. I know you've been on since 10 a.m. My only question is, should there not be an unrestricted license that the board thinks should qualify for? Would you turn in your unrestricted?
Say that again, sorry.
If you were granted a restricted, I'm sorry, if you were granted a restricted, like a zip code restricted license, all alcohol, would you turn in your unrestricted?
I think if they were required to do so versus selling it, it's something they, would want to discuss before making a final
Okay.
decision. Yeah,
That's fair. I just wanted to make sure I asked that question on the record.
sure.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Commissioner Curran and Commissioner Saxon, do you have any questions?
I just want to be clear. If you got one that was worth value in the open market, would you turn in your valuable license?
Yes, I think that's kind of the request, that it's an exchange of value for value.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think we should expect you to turn it in if you were getting one that didn't have market value?
I think perhaps the option should be there for them to sell the asset. I know.
You paid money for it in the open market, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I know this is kind of the first go around with this new legislation, and the board probably hasn't even decided how you're going to deal with these, depending on the influx of.
We haven't deliberated on
Right.
This. I think I'm telegraphing how I'm seeing it initially here. So I just, wanted to get your comments on that. That you did pay for it, you have it, you probably have a loan on it, right? What's the state of it? Is it collateral on a loan or anything like that?
Joel, is it currently used as collateral, or you have used it and obviously could potentially use it again should there be further improvements at the restaurant?
No.
We're not currently using it for collateral. If we do plan on making future changes to the restaurant, we would consider it. But currently we don't have any plans to change the restaurant, but it has been useful for us in the past. And we expect it to be useful again in the future as well.
And I guess I don't need an exact number, but I'm assuming you didn't buy it that long ago, right? I'm assuming you paid a substantial sum for it.
It's about 9 years ago in 2016, right, Joel? And part of the overall restaurant sale at that location.
Yes.
Okay, at the time, was it valued? Did you determine the value of it as opposed to all the other things you were buying?
I would say probably like it was about 120, but because I buy the whole thing together with the business, so that was included on the price of the business. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is like well, I cannot disclose that amount, but it's about 120 the price on the market of the beer and wine. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe Attorney Scanlon, you want to supplement with like what they were going for at the time, maybe adjust it for inflation, kind of give us some insight into the market of what they might be giving up if we were considering that.
Sure.
Thank you.
No questions from me, thank you.
I actually want to pick up where Commissioner Curran just left off, because it's something, again, this is uncharted territory for us, and we never know. We try to ask when we get applications for pledges what the pledge is going to be used for. Would you be able to tell us? I know there's a 2016 pledge, which according to our records hasn't been released yet, but could you describe for the board what exactly that license was pledged for? Was it to put improvements into the business? Was it to expand, get new equipment? Just show us how it's worked for you in the past.
When we ask for the loan? When we ask for when we use the license for a collateral?
Yeah, when you got the loan, what did you do with that money? Did it help you expand the restaurant or renovate it?
Yes, it was a loan from Santander, yes. We use it for, to buy the restaurant and do some, corrections on the restaurants.
Okay. That's helpful information.
Yeah.
Any further questions from the board before we move to testimony? Are there any individuals who would like to testify, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. ONS had hosted an abutters meeting on August 22nd. Unaware of any concerns at this time, they went on to meet with the Orient Heights Neighborhood Association in mid-September. I believe there were some questions regarding the patio, but the civic was supportive. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Sebastian Parr from Councilor Colora's office. The council would like to go and support this project. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and the rest of the members of the board. Senator Edwards would like to be recorded as fully in support of this application as well.
Thank you very much. I see a hand raised from a Gail Miller. Ms. Miller, you will have 2 minutes to provide your testimony.
Yes, I did submit a written, short written comment, but I'd like to indicate that this restaurant has been an invaluable asset to our community. It does host many, many meetings and birthdays and celebrations, and it's, you know, very well attended all the time. I've been a longtime resident of the Orient Heights neighborhood since 1981 and been a supporter of this restaurant, both at both locations for the many years. And so I'm just in awe of their ability to embrace the whole community. And I thought it would be a challenge, but they've far exceeded their love that they've gathered from this community. And I'm happy to support this.
Thank you for your testimony. The next hand I see raised is from 617harbor@gmail.com. If you could please identify yourself and you may provide your testimony to the board. You have 2 minutes.
Sure. I'm sorry. I didn't rename myself. This is Heather O'Brien. I'm the next door neighbor. And I did submit written testimony on a comment, but I would be fully in support of them having an unrestricted full liquor license. The reason they're asking for it is because their customers are asking for it. And everything about this restaurant, the family that owns it, the philanthropy and community involvement to their, not just the customers, but their employees. Their employees are happy, respectful people. The restaurant's clean and immaculate. They run just an impeccable business and they're very community oriented. And I would like to see one of these new licenses go to a business like this that's really part of who we are in the Boston neighborhood.
Thank you very much for that testimony. The next hand I see raised is from an iPhone. Similarly, if you could please identify yourself and provide your testimony to the board, you'll have 2 minutes to do so.
Is that from me or no?
That is you.
Sure. Okay, thank you. My name is Madeline Stachinsky. I'm a East Boston resident since 1990. I'm a business owner. I run a nonprofit called Zoomix, which has been around since 1991. So we're celebrating almost 34 years. Woohoo! I have known this family for almost the entirety of that time because Ixchel, who's on the call today, participated as a youth in my programs. Her big sister sits on our board of directors. I knew their grandmother, Angela, when she first moved here and started the business way back in the day. I've known Joel and the rest of the family forever. I also truly enjoy both locations of this restaurant. They're very well run. Their food is absolutely delicious. And it stands out in terms of, we have a lot of Latin American restaurants in East Boston, and they're all really wonderful in their own way. But I think that this restaurant, it has a little bit of a kind of higher end feel to it in terms of just the way you're treated when you come in and the beauty of the restaurant and the care that they take in terms of presenting really authentic, beautiful Mexican food. And so I fully appreciate the work that they've put in to build this business. They live locally, they work locally, they hire locally. They've had no problems there as far as I understand at either location. And I fully support this application.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter?
I'm going to hop off if that's okay, because I'm in the middle of another meeting.
You may, absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you. there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 22, Stoked Pizza JP LLC, doing business as Stoked Pizza, located at 3484 Washington Street in Jamaica Plain, has applied for a common victualler 7-day all alcoholic beverages license to be exercised on the above restaurant on the ground floor and second floor of a 5-story mixed-use development comprised of approximately 4,500 square feet of restaurant space on the first floor, 3,500 square feet of dining and bar space on the roof deck, and 2,000 square feet of basement storage space. 147 indoor seats, entrances on the front and back of restaurant, emergency exit behind kitchen, seasonal roof deck on second floor on private property, April to October, with a 10 p.m. patio closing with 89 seats. Manager Torm Miller, closing time 1 a.m. Attorney Adam Barnowski. Attorney Barnowski.
Thank you, Attorney Green. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Commissioners Saxon and Curran. Adam Barnowski with the business address of 255 State Street in Boston. I'm here on behalf of the applicant Stoked Pizza JP LLC for the property located at 3484 Washington Street in Jamaica Plain. With me is Torm Miller. He's the co-owner and the proposed manager of record, as well as Doug McGregor, co-owner of the business. And with us as well is Lee Goodman, who is the principal of Watermark, the developer for the underlying project. We are here on a request for a new Section 12 neighborhood restricted all alcoholic beverage license to be utilized in connection with Stoked Pizza, which is a full service neighborhood restaurant. As the board may recall, this is the former location of the historic Doyle's Cafe, which after decades of operation closed in 2019. Mr. Goodman acquired the rights to the site and along with several adjacent parcels, and is currently in the midst of constructing a mixed-use building, which will eventually include residences, and on the first floor, a retail unit and the Stoked Pizza location that we are here before you today. The overall project, including the underlying uses, was approved by BPTA in 2021. Briefly, some background on Stoked Pizza. This is a full-service, family-friendly table service restaurant. Serves a variety of high-quality entrees, unique pizzas, salads, along with numerous appetizers and vegan options. Stoked is a small, locally owned business, originally founded as a food truck by Torm Miller and Scott Riebling over 10 years ago. The owners take pride in offering fresh and local ingredients. They partner with Lilliput Farms in Wareham, and ingredients are delivered 7 days a week to avoid freezers, preservatives, and processed foods. The beverage program plays an important role in Stoked's operation with a variety of beer, wine, and craft cocktails as part of the menu options. While Stoked currently has 2 operations open outside of Boston in Brookline and Cambridge, it has previously been cost prohibitive for the group to open in the city due to the entry-level cost of licensure, which we can talk a little more about in a moment. We do want to reiterate that this is a full-service restaurant and the full-service nature of the sit-down restaurants. It is not a pizza parlor. It's not a slice shop. About the property, this is located on Washington Street in the block between Williams and Gartland. The restaurant will be located on the south end of the building with 4,500 square feet on the ground floor and 3,500 square feet on the second floor, which will include a second-story roof deck, in addition to 2,000 square feet of basement storage space. There will be 147 indoor seats and 89 seats on the seasonal patio, which will operate from April to October each year. They are planning to operate 7 days a week, 1 a.m. closing on the interior and a 10 p.m. closing hour on the patio. While the restaurant will focus on lunch and dinner, they like to retain the option for earlier service during special events or expanded brunch. And while alcohol service is a requisite part of their business model, this will not be, nor are there other locations, strictly bars or late night concepts. As I mentioned, Torm Miller, he is the proposed manager of record. He has been an owner operator in the restaurant business for over a decade with prior management experience. He has served as the manager of record previously, overseeing sales, service, and training related to alcoholic beverages. During nearly 10 years of operation, neither Torm nor Stoked, as a licensee, has had any violations whatsoever before local boards of the ABCCs. Turning briefly to the elements of public need, I'd like to address the operator, the neighborhood, and the Doyle's redevelopment. The neighborhood and this stretch of Washington Street in particular has a wide range of uses, including residential, commercial, retail, educational, recreational, and industrial. It's really a mixed-use neighborhood. And while there are, there's a traditional bar nearby, there are a few takeout restaurants, some more diner-like restaurants, there are no other full-service restaurants, sit-down restaurants within the immediate vicinity of the neighborhood. And here, the city previously found for a demonstration of public need, where the license existed at this location for decades under Doyle's. And while that's not presumptive of a new finding for public need, Stokes' use will in part continue that legacy. When Doyle's closed in 2019, there were many residents and groups that expressed a strong desire to see a locally owned tavern reborn at this location. They wanted to see an investment in the revival of the site and the gathering place. So as part of the redevelopment, Lee, he preserved several historic elements from Doyle's, which will be restored and reinstalled into the new restaurant. This includes most significantly the large wooden bar that was at Doyle's. So that's currently in storage and will be brought back into the space, which I think will add a nice characteristic and touch to the new restaurant. Stokes, as the operators, also plan to incorporate other elements and historic nods to Doyle's, including black and white photos of the space and potentially some of the more notable elected officials, both locally and nationally that stopped by during the time in which Doyle's was in operation. They will also plan to continue the community element of that space for neighborhood functions and try to have a meeting space in the legacy of Doyle's. We find that the location's appropriate, where it's going to be a continuation of a prior use. It's going to serve as an amenity for the immediate neighborhood, as well as the new residents that will live in the building and the adjacent buildings that are being built. Regarding Stokes, we want to reiterate that this is a locally owned small business. The two operating partners, Scott and Torm, run the day-to-day business. They started small as a food truck and have been working incrementally to grow their business. This will be professionally run, and they have a history of operating within neighborhood markets, particularly markets like this, where you have a mix of retail, commercial, and residential uses. Boston, and particularly the neighborhoods outside of the downtown, including JP, where Torm lived for many years, have always been on Stokes' radar, but the cost of licensure previously ruled out these operations. Stokes hopes that they can continue the legacy of other small and independent operators that were granted neighborhood restricted licenses in JP after the 2014 batch of neighborhood restricted licenses came out, thinking about operators like Brassica Kitchen, Tres Gatos, Casa Verde. These were all small operators that really got a start because of those licenses, and now are staples in their neighborhood and in the city. And Stokes thinks that it can become a piece of that vibrant restaurant community in JP. So we feel that this is a good use of the neighborhood restricted licenses, and that the local ties and combined with the proposed legacy of Doyle's really make this an ideal spot. So with that, we are happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you very much. Just wanted to ask, Mr. Miller, have you been approved by this board as a manager of record?
I have not been before this board, no.
Okay. Do you live in Massachusetts?
I do live in Massachusetts, yes.
Okay, and your attorney explained your experience and that you're a citizen, and just to get the last one on the record, are you familiar with the rules and regs of this board, the ABCC and the laws of the Commonwealth pertaining to the sale and service of alcohol?
I am.
Okay, great. I have no questions. Commissioner Curran, Commissioner Saxon?
Not at this time, thank you.
Just a brief question about the deliveries. You said that they're 7 days a week. Where will they take place? Washington is very busy.
Is the question where will the incoming deliveries take place?
Yes.
Lee, is that something that you can describe, or
Yeah,
I'm not sure if
thank you.
Yeah.
Lee Goodman with Watermark, the development organization. So the design of the building is to have a loading dock in the rear. So you basically be able to pull trucks in, load in, and there's an elevator that would take for instance, kegs or pallets down to the basement level. So it's being constructed to set up a true loading dock to keep everything off the street.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the board before we move to testimony? Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. This went through a lengthy community process. First off, when the site was going through zoning many years ago, and then earlier this year, they came back to ONS where we facilitated a community meeting where abutters were notified. The applicant then went on to meet with the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council and secured their support. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other elected officials with their representatives who wish to testify?
Sam Montaño, state representative for this district. Part of the reason we added the additional licensures and we were left out of the city council home rule to the state was to include Jamaica Plain in this. And so we're very excited to see this move forward. We're very excited to have business back on the streets. It's been absent of liquor licenses up and down Washington for restaurants in huge ways. And so very much in support and would like to be recorded as that on record. Thank you.
Thank you. You may please go ahead.
Hi there, this is Bonnie Delon on behalf of City Councilor Ben Weber's office. Want to go on record supporting Stoke Pizza's application for the new liquor license. We are really excited to welcome Stoke Pizza to the neighborhood in the spot where our legendary Doyle Cafe was, and are appreciative that they're honoring that legacy. And thanks to Sam Montaño's leadership on including Jamaica Plain. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you very much. We will take testimony from members of the public. The first hand I see raised is from Sam. If you could please identify yourself and you provide your testimony.
Apologies, that was me.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. All right, we have a hand raised from Michael Reiskind. You may please provide your testimony.
My name is Michael Reiskind. I live at 425 South Huntington Avenue in Jamaica Plain, a member of the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Council and chair of its Public Service Committee. We had a neighborhood hearing on this issue on January 2nd of this year. Was very well attended by the community. This location is a new building, but is trying to keep some of the spirit and flavor of the old Doyle's Cafe establishment. The capacity is going to be 147 seats indoor, and then 89 seats on the outdoor deck, which is large for Jamaica Plain, but it's smaller than the previous capacity of Doyle's, which was 265. So people thought this was appropriate. Stoke Pizza has extensive experience with its two other locations in Brookline and Cambridge, and a third opening in Cohasset. So we feel they're a wonderful new addition to the neighborhood. They promised that alcohol would be served with food only and there'd be no live entertainment. They're planning on opening in mid or late 2025. They described the layout of the location as well as having that large and accessible loading dock. For third-party deliveries, they're creating dedicated off-street parking spaces with a locker that food can be passed through from the kitchen into the third-party delivery spaces. So there's a good way of accommodating these third-party deliveries off-street, which we think is very appropriate. As I said, there was overwhelming support, very heavily attended. 38 people came to the Zoom meeting on this location, and everybody was in support. There were some questions about perhaps noise on the outdoor deck, which is going to be closing at 10, and the lowering of the parking spaces down to 25. Because of that, we asked them to come to a 6-month later follow-up meeting with the community to see how the outdoor deck will be operating, and they've agreed to that. So we ask that you support this petition for the new all alcohol license at 3484 Washington Street. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter? Board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 23, Jealous Corp. Doing business as Las Delicias Colombianas 2, located at 1231 River Street in Hyde Park. Has applied for a common victular 7-day all alcoholic beverages license to be exercised on the above. Premises contains 1 floor, which is roughly 850 square feet of occupied space. 1 kitchen, seating capacity for 45, 2 bathrooms, 1 entrance, and 1 exit. Manager Miguel Gallego, closing time 1 a.m. Who's present on behalf of the applicant?
This is me, Miguel Gallego. Hello, everybody. Danny, Kenny, Kenya, Cecily may be there, or Michael, everybody. I've been here for a long time. This is the longest meeting I've ever had. I'm a citizenship. I am resident of Massachusetts Commonwealth. I am familiar with the rules and regulation of the Boston Licensing Board, NBCC. I opened this restaurant in 2017. I came in as owner on 2021 January. I get the beer and wine licenses, cordials over 2 years ago. Now 4 of my staff are bartenders already. They know the tips. We have experience in food and beverage industry and applying for all liquor licenses this time. We got permit to 1 in the morning. This is the only change that I have, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you. You did a great job with the manager of record questions. Is your current license a restricted license to Hyde Park?
I really don't know. I know I have the license.
Oh, that's okay. Danny's
Yes.
nodding yes. Okay.
It is. It is a Main Street's restricted license. Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you'll
yes.
have to. All right.
Go ahead.
Sounds good. These restricted licenses, should you get a new license, come back to the city. They're not
Yes.
available to
Yes.
schools in the
The
airport.
one that I have should be coming to the city, and then probably the all license coming over here. I have a quick question regarding this, because I just get the bill for the new licenses for the new year 2025. So I don't know if I asked Wendy and she
You
said,
should still fill that out. Yep.
okay,
Fill it out.
cool. And I know I have issues regarding IDs problem or any problem on my restaurant.
Excellent.
And I think I almost said yes.
Thank you for hanging in there with us. This is almost the longest hearing we've had on the licensing side, but not quite. With that, I have no questions. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
None at this time, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Some background information on the community process. ONS had hosted a abutters meeting on March 6th. Abutters that were present were supportive of the proposal. The applicant also went on to receive support from the local Main Streets group, the Central River neighborhood group, as well as the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association. We're unaware of any concerns at this time. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter?
Good.
Board will take this under advisement as well. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Gallego, for hanging in there with us today.
Thank you, Danny.
And finally, calling item number 24, Commonwealth Zoological Corporation, located at Zoo New England, located at 1 Franklin Park Road, has applied for a common victular 7-day all alcoholic beverages license to be exercised on the above. The whole of the property located at 1 Franklin Park Road, comprising the Franklin Park Zoo, bounded by Franklin Park Road, Seaver Street, Circuit Drive, and Pierpont Road, as depicted on plans on file with the licensing board. Franklin Park Zoo is comprised of 72 acres of land, containing various exhibition and animal areas, including but not limited to the Kalahari Outpost, Pine Knoll, Giraffe Savanna, Tropical Forest, Gorilla Grove, Birds World, Raptor Ridge, Things Wild, Butterfly Hollow, Farmhouse Cafe, Meeting Barn, and Nature's Pavilion. Food and beverage services to be available throughout the entirety of the property, which sites various seating, event, dining areas, together with various storage areas and restrooms. Additionally, the applicant has petitioned for the approval of a management agreement between Commonwealth Zoological Corporation and Boston Culinary Group, Inc. Manager Andrew Robinson, closing time 11 p.m. Attorney Dennis Quilty. Attorney Quilty.
Good morning again, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for your patience this morning, and hopefully I can get through this one very quickly and your day will be over. This is an application by the Franklin Park Zoo. The proper name, of course, Commonwealth Zoological Corporation. With us this afternoon, John Linehan, who's the president and CEO of Zoo New England, as well as Andrew Robinson, the proposed manager of record, and Steve Whalen, both of whom are here for Boston Culinary Group, which is the proposed manager under management agreement, which is of course part of the application. We are seeking permission for a new all alcoholic beverages license. This is a nonprofit, so I think both zip code wise and nonprofit status, they would be applying for whichever type of license the board has inventory for if it's approved. This is literally to take the place of Mr. Linehan and his staff people applying for one-day licenses every time they have a function or a party or an event at the zoo, which happens a great deal, as like many other nonprofits. Licensed events are a very, very important part of the bottom line for these facilities such as the zoo, who do a great public service in the city and surrounding areas. And this enables them to keep their programs funded and afloat. And we think it will be a very positive change without much, if any, negativity in the community. We did have an abutters meeting on July 24th, which went very well. We met with the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Associations on September 8th. They had no issues with our application. And I think you are in receipt of a letter of support from District City Councilor. We did meet with and go over what the zoo was seeking to do here, and she was very understanding. And I believe provided a letter of non-opposition. This is a great benefit to a great public institution here in the city. And we look forward to taking your questions. The manager of record, proposed manager of record, has many years of experience in the service of food and beverage and alcoholic beverages, having previously worked for Aramark, Encore Catering, and Boston Culinary Group. I don't think he's a manager in any of those approved by this board, but ample experience, is a Mass resident and a U.S. citizen, and is here today, as is Mr. Linehan, to take any of your questions. And we thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, none for me.
No questions for me.
Thank you. In that case, are there any individuals who would like to testify on this matter, beginning with elected officials or their representatives?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to go on record in support of this proposal. ONS had hosted an abutters meeting on July 24th. On that call, the manager of the Harvard Health Center expressed support for the proposal. The applicant then went on to meet with the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association and answer their questions regarding some concerns that the members had. Ultimately, the civic opted to not be in opposition. Our office believes that granting of the alcoholic license will be a boon to this zoo, which has operated in the park for 112 years. This will also further the administration's goals of having Franklin Park be activated in positive ways. With that, we'll defer to the board in our record of support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see if there are any individuals who would like to testify. I do see a hand raised. Mr. Pena, you may testify.
Yes, now I'm testifying in support of this license as a resident. I'm a father of 5 children, a grandfather of 3, hopefully more grandchildren come in the pipeline, but I love the zoo, and this is a great opportunity for my family to be part of the community and the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any other individuals who would like to testify on this matter?
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to be clear that the Commonwealth Zoological Corporation does business as Zoo New England. So just so everybody's clear on that, and is the nonprofit that runs both Franklin Park and Stone Zoos. And again, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Linehan. Are there any questions from the board? There appear not to be. If there are no other individuals wishing to testify, then the board will take this matter under advisement as well.
Thank you. Commonwealth Zoological is the name of the applicant entity, so. Thank you very much, and enjoy what's left of your day.
Thank you all. The board is set to vote tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Notice has been posted. That will adjourn this hearing. Thank you all.